a year at his job as an administrative assistant. The Onion spoke to the online luminary at KPL Insurance, where he works from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and makes roughly $13 an hour.
I'm just trying to bring my unique perspective to everybody. That's what my followers expect, and I like to think I deliver.
Wasserman, who currently has $900 in his checking account, regularly engages in conversations with high-profile celebrities and takes the bus to work from the two-bedroom apartment he shares with a 23-year-old he met on Craigslist.
Actually, I just started a Tumblr because sometimes 140 characters just doesn't cut it. I just had a Google Glass tweet that Questlove retweeted again. KPL, this is Ryan. Yeah, I'm sorry, I totally forgot.
This is the Onion News Network.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
Welcome to Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 is the phone number to get on with us. Bring up whatever's on your mind. You can change the subject or you can comment on what we're talking about. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. It's Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. And with you in the studio tonight, it's me, Bonnie.
Me, Captain.
And Joa.
And this is Free Talk Live. Tonight we're going to be talking about lots of stories about the state and how they have no business running
Unga
your
bunga.
life. Yep.
Sorry, I answered the name like a caveman. I thought I'd just carry that over.
I always like the commercial on LRN.FM where our show airs, where Mark, our co-host, Mark Edge, is saying, "Email me, Mark."
Me, Mark, right? Yeah, and we have that caller too sometimes, and he comes out to the activist stuff. Me, Rob.
I didn't know that's a name.
No, he calls in, and I'm like, Free Talk Live, you're on the air. And he's like, hey, it's me, Rob, from Vermont.
Oh,
right?
that one.
Me, Rob.
I was like, me, Rob's a name? I thought that's what you're saying. Anyways, I just think we should get right into it. We have a story, actually, about that involves Keene, New Hampshire. But first, we're going to go all the way to Argentina. Ian
It's
Freeman.
going to take a long time for us to get there.
Yeah. Well, luckily we have the internet. We can go directly there. Actually, Ian Freeman, my husband and co-host of this show, who's currently incarcerated, read this article in jail, and he was laughing about it. He said it was so funny. So he kind of requested that we talk about it, and it seems like a good story. I like talking about that guy, Javier Milei, who's the libertarian that won the primary in Argentina for president.
You see this department? It's gone. You see this department? It's gone. You see this department? It's gone. They're all gone.
They're all parasites. That's what he's always saying. I love that. So yeah, he's really anti-government, except apparently he loves Israel, but whatever. That's neither here nor there.
He's taken over to leave you alone.
Hopefully that's how it pans out. It's not a trick, you know. And their election, I think, is on the 22nd of October. So it's coming up. It's a kind of pretty interesting stuff.
That's a Sunday.
Maybe it's not the 22nd, but end of October. But it's pretty interesting stuff. He is drawing crowds like Ron Paul. He's really interesting the people there. And
this is what I keep telling people. People are like, well, you're an anarchist and you don't vote, so how come you're in New Hampshire and how come you're hanging out with the Free State Project people and how come you're supporting people who are running for office and stuff? It's because look, the best avenue for opening minds and getting people to get to a point where they're voluntarists is through political campaigns. That's the fact. Ron Paul proved it, and everybody else just keeps proving it over and over again. If you want to educate people, you want to change hearts and minds, and you think you have a value proposition, run for office. You know you're not going to win. You know the Democrats and the Republicans are going to kick your ass.
You get a bunch of people listening.
But run anyway because a bunch of people will frickin' listen to you and your point of view just because it happens to be election season.
Yeah. And most of the time you're not going to get some, local newspaper to interview you on your opinions. But if you're running for office, you just might.
Bingo.
You can even run as a Republican or a Democrat.
Yeah, it's good to run for a Democrat sometimes when there's no seat being filled.
And then-
so you use their money to campaign.
And then, bonus, maybe you get elected. And you get to do fun things like I seen a clip of Gerhardt,
Yeah.
right? You know, he's in like some, session here in New Hampshire or whatever.
In the state
And
house.
like, taxation is theft. Right. And he just kind of walks away.
Taxation is
Right?
theft.
Like you get
a lot
these-
of reps though say that at the end of their speeches, and they go, "And taxation," and we have to remember taxation is theft, and they walk off.
Yeah,
this
this
is
year,
great.
I love it.
when Gerhardt was doing that this year, like just going up in his answer every single time was taxation is theft. A Democrat, terrible statist parasite rep, he went up and he put in a motion to say that something like I want to put in a motion. Let's all vote and say that we reprimand people for saying taxation is theft, because without taxation, none of us would be here, and it's really insulting to us. Yeah, it was so funny, and it didn't go through.
Finally, they understand. No, they didn't understand. They're coming at it from the wrong perspective, right?
Yeah.
But they were correct, though. Without taxation, none of them would be there.
And as if that negates the idea that it's theft. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So stupid. But going to this story from the AP, APnews.com, says Argentina's populist presidential candidate Javier Milei faces criticism as the peso takes a dive. Buenos Aires, Argentina. Argentina's firebrand populist presidential candidate Javier Milei. I really wonder if he calls himself populist. I feel like that's just a dirty word they kind of throw at people
What?
sometimes.
I've never really heard that word until he just used it to describe himself.
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
Oh.
well,
did?
I'm somebody did. But like, what is a populist?
It just
I
means
feel like
like
it's almost like a bad translation.
Is that like
So-
I'm going to do what the majority that makes him a Democrat, right? I'm going to do what the majority of people, the popular thing says to do.
no, that's kind of a like what it sounds like, definitely. But let's pull up a definition. It says populism is a range of political stances that emphasize the idea of the people and often juxtapose this group with the elite. It is frequently associated with anti-establishment and anti-political sentiment. The term developed in the late 19th century and has been applied to various politicians, blah, blah, blah. The idea I've gotten before is like basically exactly what it just said. Like there's the people and there's the elite. We want less elite control. And the other thing is like with the way that Trump uses it is like, I want to get jobs back in America first. Like super anti-trade and stupid.
Man, I read a thing today that like the most popular desires for, the high school aged kids when they get out of high school, the most popular desires for jobs, for careers is like YouTube creator,
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
musician.
We
Right.
got one of those
Rock
each here.
Like good luck making money at that, pal. Let me just tell you,
Yeah,
right?
it's very rare.
I got a whole bunch of stuff online, and like, I got a direct deposit the other day for like $1.39.
At CaptainKickass.com.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. That'll really help pay the rent, if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, you could do YouTube. It's not like
Yeah, our friend.
it's impossible.
I've had stuff on YouTube.
I mean,
and,
I'm on
like,
track to get paid again.
I've got
Keep
distribution,
continuing
man.
this.
Like Captain Kickass is everywhere as far as like music is concerned. If you're on an app somewhere on your phone, chances are you can find Captain Kickass.
That's cool.
Right.
We were playing his music yesterday for the bumper music when our show went haywire because a computer restarted itself.
And let me just say, wow, it was really good to hear that like roll-in music at the top of the show.
Yeah, it's working correctly now, so hopefully
As a-
tonight we'll have no problems.
Yeah, let's not jinx ourselves. As a both a technician and a philosopher, I don't want to jinx myself, but also, yeah, I think we have it licked at least for tonight. Knock on wood. Yes, thank you.
But getting back to Argentina, it says that, and it just made me wonder if he calls himself that or they're trying to compare him to Trump because, like, they call Trump a populist a lot. I think it applies kind of to him. Either way, even if it's not really a bad word in the actual definition, they've kind of turned it into a dirty word, right? They're always
They have.
calling Trump that, so it just makes him sound like he's just like Trump.
You're right. Yeah, kind of the
So-
same flavor.
Exactly. So I just wondered if he calls himself that. Because for one thing, you can't even visit his website from the United States. You have to be in Argentina. I think that's because he was just getting, like, his server or whatever was getting overrun. So he made it to where you can only view it if you're in Argentina, and then it's in Spanish. So I couldn't even view what his own website says about him. Like, I've only seen Spanish interviews with, a translation on the bottom because I don't speak Spanish. So, I'm always wondering how much of what they say about him is even true. I mean, we're just trusting the news.
I mean, you can't decipher Spanish just a little bit, like when you hear it. I mean,
I used to be pretty good at it because I was
watched
married to
a
a
bunch
Mexican.
of Telemundo. So sometimes when people are saying things to each other, I kind of get the main idea or the emotional content of what they're doing. I don't get the actual words though.
I used to be good enough at understanding but not replying that my ex-husband told people, oh, she speaks Spanish all the time. And I'd be like, don't say that. Don't say that. Like, I understand what he's saying. I couldn't respond. And I would listen to Spanish podcasts. That's like the best way, I think, to learn Spanish.
actually, when you're watching it, you can get the app. Get an app. Have
Duolingo?
it. Yeah. Well, no, not Duolingo. The learning software. It listens to it and it reads it for you. So it lays out the text, or it can speak it in English when you're playing it. But even like when you were listening, you were reading the subtitles.
Subtitles.
Yeah.
Yeah. My ex taught himself English by watching Naruto in English with Spanish subtitles. Anyways, moving on. It says Argentina's firebrand populist presidential candidate Javier Milei, the front runner to win the election later this month, is coming under fire from his rivals who blame him for a sharp depreciation of the local currency in the parallel market. So this is what Ian thinks is so funny about this article. His rivals are blaming him for inflation. This man who's not even president, it doesn't control the
It's
banks.
his fault.
It's somehow his fault for that inflation is happening. It's so ridiculous.
My God.
Milei has continued to tout his controversial plan.
How can a guy who's like just running,
Yeah.
right, hasn't even been elected to anything, right? How can he be to blame for inflation?
Inflation is something that takes years and like lots of
And banks
printing. Yeah.
and governments,
Right.
to cooperatively work together in a fascist fashion.
Yeah.
Fascist fashion? Wow, that's hard to say together.
But it's true.
Yes. He's probably more removed from the effects of inflation than we are. Like, we could probably be more responsible for the inflation there than he is.
How?
I don't know, but I'm just saying.
We're
like,
Americans and we're ignorant.
yeah. Sure, there
I
you
don't
go.
know.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's a good answer. I like it. I'll roll with what Joe has said.
Because we can't understand Spanish and we're just talking about him.
I'm sorry, Baxter.
knows what
I
he's
don't
saying?
speak Spanish.
¿Cómo estás?
Anyways.
Nothing? Oh, my God.
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay.
Milei has continued to tout his controversial plan for dollarization of the South American country's economy. With a little less than 2 weeks to go before the October 22nd presidential election, so I guess it is a Sunday, the Argentine peso has sharply depreciated over the past week. It's just ridiculous. The so-called blue rate, as the informal exchange rate is known, closed at around 1,025 pesos to the US dollar. Whoa. Tuesday, a sharp increase from 880 pesos on Friday. So it takes 1,025 pesos to equal $1 US. And it went from 880 just on Friday
Wow.
to Tuesday. The rate was at 605 pesos per dollar before the upstart Milei rocked Argentina's political landscape by unexpectedly emerging as the top vote getter in the country's national primaries on
Wow.
August 13th. They're really trying to make it sound
Jeez
like
Louise.
they believe it's him too. The AP.
You know what they're doing is like they're not going to allow this guy to get into office by crippling the economy by hyperinflating. That's what it sounds like they're doing.
And blaming him? Or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. Keep blaming him because you keep supporting him. And it's like their last chance. They're throwing the baby out with the bathwater by doing this because then they're going to completely destroy the currency. And then, you know what? I wouldn't mind, like, you know what? Getting a real, true, honest person in there, let's just say he is. And then, you know, him doing the right thing. Maybe we need that big dip of pain to you know, get rid of that scab on society, which is their central banks.
Yep, and he really does seem to understand economics. And from what I've seen, I think he calls himself an Austrian economist.
Oh,
He's
good.
obviously at least read
Yeah.
some Austrian economics, right? Or perhaps perused some articles at Mises.org.
It would be
There's a trend, though, in Argentina that I've seen in the last few years. That
towards
it's-
libertarianism.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent. I don't know much about Argentina at all. It's so far away.
Where's the trend in the U.S. of that?
Well, like, see, one of the things that I know it's still like a
Right here.
mandate, but they mandated something like it was $5 an ounce for weed in Argentina. Like the government mandated a strict price of really cheap.
What?
Yeah.
That's so dumb, though.
And the president, the last president, he was openly smoking weed, like on camera.
Why? How can you mandate that people sell weed for $5 an ounce?
I think that's actually them. It sounds absurd to Americans because it's been overly forced into its regulations, and it's still costing, say average 200 an ounce still. But the reality is, weed should be like 5 cents a pound.
Well, yeah, because of the fact
grows
that
so easy.
and it's just like unnaturally made, artificially made to be more expensive because of the war on drugs. Is that what you're
And
saying?
taxation and regulatories and all the different other things that they need to be able to grow legally. It's absurd. I mean, look.
That's true. Like, you wouldn't pay $200 an ounce for tobacco.
No. Well, I don't know. I don't know how many ounces of tobacco are in a pack of cigarettes, but it's got to be like less than one.
I don't know.
Probably an eighth in a pack.
And that's $10 a pack. So 10,
Yeah.
20, that's $40.
Yeah.
An ounce, if it's an eighth, right?
Right. And I know cigarettes have been resistant to a lot of regulations. I know there's a lot of taxes on top of it, but it's just, see how cheap it is? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah, I do. That's absolutely crazy, though, to mandate any price of any good. I don't like that. But what you're saying is just that weed is legal there.
It is, I believe, completely. And you can't get really in trouble for it, like mass productions or anything. I don't think it's even anything there.
The real problem they have is their freaking inflation that we're talking about here. And it's the central bank's fault,
Well, they'll be out in the streets again with pots and pans like they did in the past.
what they do.
Literally brought out pots and pans.
Like
Clink,
banging them?
clink. Yeah, oh, yeah. Argentina, they're pretty hardcore about that in their economy. So if this is going to cause some turmoil, you're going to be seeing a lot of pots and pans. It's like a tradition in Argentina.
Interesting.
Yep.
You know a lot about Argentina. It says stringent capital controls mean that access to the official foreign exchange market, which currently prices a dollar at 367 pesos, is extremely limited. So parallel rates have flourished. That's weird because in Argentina it says right now the dollar is at 1,025 pesos. Milei, an anti-establishment candidate who admires former U.S. President Donald Trump. Wow, that's just so sleazy. He doesn't say things like, "Oh, I love Donald Trump. I want to be like him. I'm trying to be just like Donald Trump," or anything like that. It's just been like, I admire that he was anti-establishment. Like they asked him about, he should have refused to ever answer a question about Donald Trump because they're just going to put stupid sentences like that. Milei, an anti-establishment candidate who admires former U.S. President Donald Trump. So stupid.
Yeah.
He's-
I mean, look, I've admired Trump too, and I'm an
Yeah.
anarchist that really doesn't like Trump. You
Right.
know, but I've admired him a few times. I think he's hilarious.
Yeah,
or
when he's
whatever.
being funny, yeah. Or just when he gets, goes to like North Korea and has a regular meeting with one of those people, it's kind of like, wow, I can't believe he would do that. It's crazy.
He hasn't done all the right things, but like he's gotten a crowd motivated by saying the right things, and like that's like he's been pulling at the heartstrings and not doing the real thing.
Yeah, he's been doing terrible things too. So
Exactly.
I want to point that out. We aren't pro-Trump. It's just ridiculous. They're sitting here trying to make Milei sound like, oh, he's the next Donald Trump. He wants to
Well, part of this is
fire a bunch of politicians.
part of this is the media and the writer. So either the media is trying to spin it in a certain way, or the writer just doesn't understand the perspective of libertarianism. And the closest thing the writer can come to, like what Milei is saying, is something that Donald Trump said years ago in a campaign, and it's like not even close.
Yeah.
Right. So it's either that, or it's just that this guy's part of the mainstream media, this writer, and they have an agenda. They want to
Right.
paint a picture in a certain way that makes this guy look like a conservative Republican instead of a libertarian.
I tend to go with that. They have an angle. I mean, it's the news. They always have an angle. Their angle is, make it look like Joa attacked someone who attacked Joa.
Yeah,
That type of thing.
because I'm just as bad as murderers, rapists, and firebombers apparently.
Oh yeah, the slander people is what they did to Joa. It says, let me finish this sentence I keep reading. Milei, an anti-establishment candidate who admires former U.S. President Donald Trump, has said he wants to replace the peso with the dollar and says Argentina's central bank should be abolished. Yeah, I've never heard Trump say anything like he wants to abolish the central bank.
Wait a second.
Yeah, no.
He just said he wants to eliminate the central bank and go to the dollar.
Yeah, and see, I thought that was really bad at first. It's just a step in the right direction.
It's a stable thing in the world, so it just makes sense
It
to
would
do
help
that. But
the Argentinians a lot.
mostly stable.
The philosophically consistent position there would be for him to not advocate to move to the dollar, but advocate to move to cryptocurrency.
Right.
That
Or
would
gold
be
and
the
silver,
That would be the philosophically consistent position.
Yeah.
However, because he's trying to win an election, he wants to just get out of whatever his country is doing and get into something that somebody
Sure.
else is doing.
Well, the thing that's
for the
currently
stability.
hyperinflating on them, you know.
Yeah, and it's hyperinflating. Like ours is inflating,
is.
but theirs is like I said, going from
Although-
600, 800.
How much would that suck for them to go from their own currency hyperinflating, and then like they go, we'll adopt the dollar, and then as soon as that happens, the dollar hyperinflates.
Yeah, that'd be
frying pan into
beautiful.
the fire. You know?
Not
it's like-
too unlikely either, honestly.
They're gonna hate libertarians after that.
Oh god, that would suck. It says the peso had already been steadily depreciating for months, but took a sharp downturn Monday after Milei, in a radio interview, recommended that Argentines not renew fixed-rate deposits, saying the peso is the currency issued by the Argentine politician, and therefore it is not worth crap. That's a quote. He's always talking about how he hates politicians, and that's the best. The best.
A politician who hates politicians.
It's great.
Here on Free Talk Live.
In recent days, Milei has suggested that the sharp depreciation of the peso could be convenient for his eventual presidency, saying that, quote, the higher the price of the dollar, the easier it is to dollarize, unquote.
Huh.
I mean, they
what
even
you're
see
saying.
that's a twist there. Like they made that sound like, oh, he's using the depreciation of the peso to get elected. I mean, it's like
Well, yeah.
he's not the one
mean-
doing it.
That's like he's using the war to get elected. Of course he is. He's the freaking president, right? You know, like a current sitting president, doing warlike actions against some country, right? I mean, yes, everything that's happening, politicians are using to get elected. Right? They find a thing that's happening, and then they try and jump out in front of it and go, "Hey, everybody, look at me! I'm doing a thing! Ha ha ha! Vote for me!" Right? Even though they had no hand in starting it, no hand in perpetuating it, and
At
no
least this
hand
guy
in
wants
seeing
to
it through.
end it. It's not that he wants to make it worse, you know. And he seems pretty.
I give him credit.
He seems pretty. Sorry, he seems pretty. I can't. I was like
Adamant?
Adamant.
Based.
Yeah, he seems pretty. What's the word? He seems like he really wants to do it. Sorry, I got all distracted because I was like hearing this noise on my arm. I got bit by a spider today.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
pretty sure. I didn't
Was
see
it radioactive?
We'll see.
Are you going to turn into Spider Girl?
We'll see. 603-283-6160.
If you start clinging to walls, that's going to be weird.
What do you think about Javier Milei? Would you vote for him? Do you know anything about Argentinian politics? Are politicians crap and not worth crap and parasites? 603-283-6160. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
From Betty Davis's first role as a piece of chocolate cake in the 1931 film Palmy Days to the discovery of Niagara Falls in 1996, The Onion looks back at this week in history. On May 16, 1929, the first Academy Awards were handed out in categories such as Greatest Achievement in Blackface, Best Catholic Whipping Scene, and Most Gorgeous Gams on a Broad. The highlight of the night occurred when Wings won the award for Best Picture without a single Dago, Tar Baby, or Wetback. And on May 15th, 1940, the first McDonald's opened in San Bernardino, California, back when a young Grimace was just working as a cashier. And that was what happened this week in history. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, history is actually pretty racist.
This is the Onion News Network.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. Israel's defense chief has admitted there were security failures in the military response to Saturday's attack by Hamas. His comments come as the US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken visited Israel, where he promised continued American support for the country. However, there's growing concerns for the humanitarian situation inside Gaza, where the United Nations says conditions are dire, with food and water running out. Ross Cullen in Tel Aviv says the safety of the hostages is also unknown, while the bombing of Gaza by Israel continues.
The well-being, the whereabouts of the hostages inside Gaza, Israelis being held captive inside the Gaza Strip. Israel also saying on Thursday it has dropped some 6,000 bombs on the Palestinian territory since the attacks by Hamas in retaliation. And there are growing concerns over the rising number of people who've died, more than 1,300 in Israel, more than 1,300 in Gaza.
Meanwhile, the Biden administration is refreezing $6 billion of Iranian assets amid Tehran's continued support of Hamas in the wake of the terrorist group's attack on Israel. The US president was under pressure to halt the money that was part of a deal to free 5 US prisoners. It comes as the death toll of Americans killed in Israel increased to 27. The US House of Representatives remains in limbo as the Republican nominee for the House Speaker struggles to find enough support to be elected. It's unclear if Steve Scalise can win an overall majority in the chamber. Ever since Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
The delay means the US Congress can't get back to work, passing critical legislation to fund the US government and support Israel. Steve Scalise defeated hardliner Jim Jordan in a private party vote on Wednesday. Now he's trying to unite divided House Republicans as he can only afford to lose the support of 4 members. Republicans are eager to avoid the drawn-out floor fight that happened earlier this year when it took Kevin McCarthy 15 ballots to be elected Speaker.
Federal prosecutors have hit US Senator Bob Menendez with a fresh charge of acting as a foreign agent. It comes after the long-term New Jersey Democrat was indicted last month for accepting bribes in return for political favours. Ever since William Denslow reports from New York.
In a superseding federal indictment, prosecutors alleged that Bob Menendez provided sensitive US government information that secretly aided the Egyptian government. The senator and his wife have previously been accused of accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars and gold bars in exchange for political favours to benefit 3 businessmen and the government of Egypt. The senator pleaded not guilty to those charges. William Denslow, New York.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. That means that you can call in with whatever is on your mind. You can change the subject, or you can talk about whatever we're talking about. You can yell at us. You can bang your fists against the desk because you disagree so much.
The parking meter kiosk.
I saw that. Oh yeah, check out Joa's shorts on Breaking the Flaw on YouTube, and you'll know what that means. It's hilarious.
I don't know that I want to see Joa in shorts.
He's got shorts on YouTube.
Does he wear shorts?
Shorts
Really
on YouTube.
Extremely short.
But yes, if you want to call into this show, 603-283-6160 is the phone number. 603-283-6160. And with you in the studio tonight, it's me, Bonnie.
Playing the part of Jay Noon will be the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Oh my goodness.
And Joa in short shorts.
And I got bit by a spider today, I'm pretty sure. But we're talking about...
Now that you know all of our dirt, listeners.
Yeah. We're talking about Javier Milei, the highest running, or front-runner candidate for president in Argentina. And he's a libertarian. It's really shocking stuff, honestly. This story from the AP is covering the fact that he's getting blamed by his rivals, we'll say, for the fact that the peso is inflating in Argentina. He's not a politician.
He went right
now.
into like their central bank and just typed in numbers, screwing
Okay, so
up
wait a
their
minute.
entire.
Add a bunch of zeros.
By this logic, if everyone who's a libertarian in the United States of America would just simply run for president, we would get hyperinflation.
Whoa.
That's your escalationist? Is that what they call themselves?
I don't know, but I'm just saying by their logic, right? If they're blaming him for inflation because he's a libertarian running for president and has had no effect on central banks or the government thus far, then every libertarian in the United States should immediately run for some sort of office in order to cause hyperinflation of the dollar.
I can't remember the word. What's the word of the people that want to escalate the situation? They want...
you're talking... Oh, no, we need Skeeter to call in and tell us what that is.
That word.
Yeah.
I can't remember the word. But it's the people who want the everything to go to crap because it'll cause people to rethink. They want hyperinflation. They want...
Oh.
Yeah, I can't think of the word right now.
Where's
that's
Richie
a good...
Rich when I need him?
Escalationist is what I'm calling it. Position to just have libertarians run and talk about inflation, and then we'll get hyperinflation, and then everything will crash. And
I think that's a great idea. I would love to see the system just totally crash, and it might be a little bit of pain in that time, but as long as you start the new with the right system, everyone's just gonna have to do that. Because what would you rather have happen? You want to be milked over, your entire life,
yep.
And all that time you spent working to pay for those taxes. Maybe we could take a couple years to rebuild and get it back on track where it's supposed to be. Use
I think
crypto
it'd be real
and
uncomfortable
silver.
for a lot of people. Uncomfortable, and for the least prepared, probably could mean death. Literally, I mean, there are people who completely rely on nothing but welfare.
Sure.
And, have no skills.
And there are people who rely on welfare, have no skills, and they have all of their banking automated.
Yep.
Right?
Digital.
So, yeah, like, my rent payment or mortgage payment comes right out of the bank every month, and my electric bill and then my cell phone bill is immediately with, and so, like, I don't have to, and they've got it, like, set up. Right? So now they are literally what's the word I'm looking for? They're a slave to the system, right? At that point. Well, I don't do any of this stuff, right? It's available to me. I could sign up for auto withdrawal for all of my stuff or whatever, but no, because I don't know what's going to happen from month to month, from year to year, right? What if my bank screws up, right? If I have the control, if I don't have any of that set up, right, it's gone. But if I don't have any of that set up, I can immediately get another bank account or switch to another bank account I already have to pay all of those things, right? I'm not tied into one bank. So the first thing I recommend to everybody listening, even if you're not on board with cryptocurrency or gold or silver or whatever, get more than one bank account.
Yeah.
Because the banks will screw you. They will find a way to screw you, right? And if you don't have multiple accounts, you have less options for recovery.
I mean, I think one of the smartest things to do is to protect your stuff through an LLC. So
that is, yeah.
I mean, I'm not practicing this.
I'm not a lawyer or an economist, but these are my real life observations.
Let's just say there's methods of protection other than just having one bank account.
No.
It's just ridiculous. I just Googled synonym to escalation, and it's like everything is right there. It's almost there, but I can't get the actual word. There's exacerbation. It's not that. Exacerbationist, but it's basically the same thing.
That sounds wrong.
Yeah, it kind
I
of
can't
does.
believe I'm going to say this, but...
Amplification.
Skeeter, 603-283-6160.
Oh my God, there he is.
It's as if I've summoned the devil.
Skeeter,
be right back.
You're on Free Talk Live.
It's just weird.
It's your boy.
Jesus. What's
your favorite accelerationist?
Thank you.
Acceleration. What's the other word you put with it?
Well, you guys are starting to come to your senses.
No. We just want to know the other word that
acceleration. That's what we said.
No, but it's like, is it unit? What's the other word? Universal.
Utilitarian.
Utilitarian. Damn it.
Yeah. But the word I was looking for was acceleration.
Evolutionary.
Accelerationism is just a strategy. I'm not an accelerationist per se because you can make a case that we should just kill ourselves with atomic bombs, and that would be accelerationism. So it's just to
That'd be
accelerate.
terrible. That
You don't
can't
you don't
start from
support that?
No, yeah, I'm not an accelerationist per se, but if you think about it, the best strategy is accelerationism. You don't want to put libertarians in power on a sinking ship because they'll get blamed. That's what I told Ian, and that's
Mark.
what Ian is referring to in this article. You don't want to put them in at the head of a sinking ship. I told them that.
Yeah,
And,
I get that, but I think that
you have
like
to
certain
look
things
too,
that can happen. So I wouldn't say I'm accelerationist on everything, but definitely some things could definitely use an accelerative idea.
Like for instance, I've been calling David Hathaway a liar because, you know, he's talking about how government profits from the drug war. You want the drug war.
David
I know
Hathaway,
it's
the man that
people.
was in the DEA, just doesn't know. He just doesn't know that the government's, making money.
He doesn't know that.
He was in the government
when
making
he-
money off the drug war, but okay.
When he argues that the government makes profits solely because the DEA takes in some revenue through asset forfeiture, is a
Some.
dishonest argument.
Some
right?
money.
You have to- when you look at the government,
All
spends
of the
100
just like creating court cases is enough for them to be making money. Like, if they're making court cases, if
Absolutely
people
not.
are going to jail,
Absolutely not. If you
absolutely yes.
If you think about the restitution that Ian had to pay to the court, that's peanuts in relation to how much they spent to investigate him over 3 years.
Well, no, this is a fact. Like, they have spent probably well over $10 million.
You know that they just print the money, right? And all
probably
these
more
people
than
are
that.
getting paid all that
can't
money to
do
do
that.
it the whole time. It's not like it's like coming out of, Georgiana McDonald's pocket or something.
Right. The person is always at the disadvantage when it comes to being persecuted by the state because the state has unlimited time, money, and resources to spend persecuting you.
Why do you think they're having government shutdowns and stuff? Do you think their resources are
Dude,
For show,
that's all
for show.
BS, man. All they're going to do is keep raising the debt ceiling. The government has never actually shut down, even that one time that it kind of did. All they did was close like some state parks.
Yeah, they don't actually shut down the things that matter that
Especially
needs to
the
be shut
courts.
down.
Yeah.
They shut down the
They
little,
didn't shut down
the
police.
frivol-
They didn't shut down courts. They didn't
frizz.
shut down attorneys. They didn't shut down anything of any consequence. The only thing they did was shut down some state parks and threaten some little old lady's Social Security money.
Why don't they just spend an infinite amount of money then? Why isn't their budget infinite?
Have you seen the debts?
Yeah,
They basically
do.
They
are.
are
It's like-
spending an infinite amount of money, and nobody seems to care.
Thank you for the call, Skeeter. I just think they do basically spend an infinite amount of money. Like, you can never spend $1 trillion in your life.
I'm trying to remember what it was. I'm going to look it up.
It's 33 trillion, right?
No. I'm going to look up the hourly. I did it was the title of a show.
But I am grateful to Skeeter for making a call. And if you want to call in, it's 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And I forgot what I was saying. Honestly, sorry. So I'm grateful for him. So yeah, for
What, you're
reminding me of that word. Reminding me of the word
Okay,
acceleration.
attention, everybody. This is a very big announcement.
And
Bonnie
it's not on
Freeman
here.
is human.
Yep.
Bonnie Freeman is human.
How do we know?
Yeah, how do you know? I could be AI.
Because she made a mistake.
Whenever I went to go visit Ian, I was like looking at all the details. I was like, let me see the top of your head. I was like, I'm not getting tricked by them creating like some clone of Ian and the real Ian's getting MK Ultra.
Oh my God. You had to check on that daily? I'm just kidding.
Well, I wish I could, but I can't go to visit him daily. It's an hour away.
$1.4 billion per hour.
Yeah. Why don't they?
$1.4 billion per hour. You can't
Wow.
even fathom how
Yeah.
much money $1.4 billion is, much less every freaking hour.
Can I just have a little bit of that, please?
I don't even know if you could buy everything Balenciaga's selling at once. It probably wouldn't be $1.4 billion. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And people that's what people think of, like, just buying a lot of luxury clothes.
It almost makes me think that the U.S. government are accelerationists.
True.
Like destroying us harder and harder. It's like no matter how hard they try, there's so much resistance to the American people. And I really believe that. Like, we're not putting up with it, but we are at the same time, kind of thing. Like, I don't know.
Well, we have the Second Amendment here. And
I was going to say, bring the gallows out.
I don't
But
think that they want to actually, start something crazy with us, because there is like a militia. There's the people who have guns.
Yep.
That's why we don't get invaded as much as other countries.
Yeah, military strategy 101. All generals and anybody who leads any sort of, a military, a platoon or something like that get trained in 101. Military 101 strategy says the worst place to attempt to conquer is that geographic area with a heavily armed populace.
Yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm channeling Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, if your government cared about you at all and had any sort of reason to, support you defending yourselves and the country defending itself from foreign invasion, it would give you guns and ammo for free.
Yep.
Or at least at the taxpayers, expense.
Yeah, for free. It doesn't really
it would provide, public schools would have, everybody would get gun training starting from 4th grade on up. Right? You would get tactical training. You get ammunition training. You would get, they would be making incentives. How they have tax incentives in places for stuff like, hey, it's a 4-year plan, and if you get solar power in your house, you get some discounts from the state or whatever.
Don't give me
they'd
too
be
many
doing
ideas.
that for 3D printers so you could print your own freaking guns.
I'd rather
If
them
the
be doing
government ever cared about you at all, it would be like handing you weapons and ammunition.
No, they don't care about us. If we had a foreign invasion, they would probably not care about protecting us at all.
No, they'd be in on
the real
it.
truth is, when and we're really close. We're probably already seeing the start of World War III, by the way.
Seems like it.
And if we have an attack here in the United States, it's not going to be in an area where it's heavily armed. So hint, hint, mass holes. You might want to.
No, stay there, massholes.
Huh?
No, stay there, massholes.
Yeah, but I'm nudging at him to arm up. I'm not
Wink,
saying
wink,
come
nudge,
here.
nudge.
Please don't come
Yeah.
here. Well, unless
Yeah,
you're
a libertarian that needs to
respectable.
escape. Yeah.
Maine's got our back, though. Literally.
Yeah.
If there's no one else
Right.
behind us except Maine on that side of the country.
In Vermont, they're doing pretty good too.
Yeah, they have a lot of guns for hippies.
For real.
Yeah. Fortunately, most of them are not at Sanders' house.
Well, moving on, or getting back into this APnews.com article about Javier Milei and how he's being blamed for inflation in the country just because he, shone a light on it. Just doesn't make any sense. Oh, it's getting worse. It's only because he brought it up. So stupid. That's what his rivals are saying.
Okay, wait.
So people wake up to it and realize it, and then it tanks.
Is that what
okay?
happens? If you bring something up, it gets worse?
I think it's just it was gonna get worse no matter what.
I'm bringing up topless women right now.
Oh my god.
Bring it.
It's gonna be everywhere before we know it. Yep. Getting back into the article, though, it says the peso had already been steadily depreciating for months, but took a sharp downturn on Monday after Milei, in a radio interview, recommended that Argentines not renew fixed rate deposits. They're saying that as if it was he recommended it, so the central bank did that, and then now there's sharp depreciation of the peso. It's it was going to happen anyway.
This reminds me of during Ian's sentencing when what the heck's her name? Georgiana.
Yeah.
When she was like, well, everybody knows it's really hard to catch the actual scammer. She was whining about it. And I'm like,
hard.
well, it's hard to do your job. Maybe you should have got a job that you're good at.
Yeah. Or maybe you should have some kind of work ethic and morals and actually try to...
Or go get a skill that's actually valuable and put something forth into society that will live beyond yourself instead of persecuting innocent people.
She is a parasite. If anyone's a parasite, it's freaking federal prosecutors. Anyways, it says, they said... Oh, wait, who said it? Oh, yeah, Milei said, the peso is the currency issued by the Argentine politician and therefore it is not worth crap. We already read that.
Right, just because it's assigned. It's so silly.
In recent days, Milei has suggested that the sharp depreciation of the peso could be convenient for his eventual presidency, saying that the higher the price of the dollar, the easier it is to dollarize. The candidate for Buenos Aires, mayor of Milei's self-described Libertarian Party... Weird. I was just trying to read that sentence again. The candidate for Buenos Aires, mayor of Malay's self-described Libertarian Party also called on citizens to drop the peso. So another guy, and he's also a libertarian. Today, more than ever, don't save in pesos, Ramiro Mara wrote on social media Tuesday. Malay's opponents in the presidential race sharply criticized his words, saying he's fomenting a run on the peso. Oh, that'd be great.
You know what the biggest problem is in this whole talk that you're reading here is why is government controlling what is being traded? Why do they have to have a government-run currency? Why can't it just be like a private currency that's sort of establishing itself there?
It works for Bitcoin.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't get
Other
why
cryptocurrencies.
they're arguing over. They're beating a dead horse. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
They're beating a dead horse, and they're like, which centralized currency should we centralize ours? And again, dang it, oh man, it just seems like they're doing the same thing over and over again, and failing.
When Ian and I first found out about Malay and we read his opinions on this, I think that his eventual idea is something like gold.
Right.
So,
I do think what the way you've been reading this though is like he has the right energy into it, but I just don't know if he's doing the right strategy. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not down there. I'm not really seeing it firsthand, but the way it's playing out in this article doesn't sound right.
But I think it's nice that Ramiro Mara is, telling people not to save in pesos because when something's hyperinflating and you're saving in that currency, you're just getting stolen from by the government as they steal the worth of each peso.
But then they ask you, convert to dollars. I'm like, oh, no.
Same thing happens in dollars. If you are earning United States dollars, USD as I like to call it, you call it probably the dollar. If you're earning that and you're trying to save, might be a good idea. Take some, perhaps all. I'm just saying.
As much as you're able to lose.
As much as you're comfortable with. After you do, some looking, it might behoove you to move some of that out.
It's not financial advice for me, at least.
No, and it's not financial advice. It's just that, like, what I see. Right? Yeah. What I see is the dollar continues to go down in value and has done so. I'm 51 years old right now, has done so my entire life. So if I earned and saved $50,000 and had it all saved by 1982, right? Mm-hmm. That $50,000, if I saved it until today, would only be worth about 15% of what it was worth back then. Right?
That's so bad.
Like, I remember commercials for Mazda pickup trucks, right? These were the first of these little small pickup trucks with the 4 or the 6-cylinder motors.
I've never seen a
on.
Mazda pickup truck. I gotta Google it.
They had ads when I was a kid for Mazda. Only Mazda's got a truck for just $57.95. $5,795. Wow. I bet you that same Mazda truck today, in good condition with no rust, would probably sell for like more than $6,000.
Maybe so.
These are really cute too. Mazda B series, I like that. Kind of looks like a Ford, but more, I don't know, Lego truck looking.
Yeah. So if I'd have taken, that same amount of money and put it like under a mattress or in a safe or something like that, I could buy way less with that same amount of money today than I could then. Way, way less. Like orders of magnitude less.
Way fewer Mazda trucks.
Like 50 is the new 5 kind of less.
Actually, probably the best investment that I found is tools. You buy tools now, and then a few years later, they're always more
like
money.
Printing presses.
Even like a year later, man. Like,
yep, even a year later.
Gun printing presses. Or I guess not. 3D printers. That's what
3D printers? Yeah, those are good like short-term investments. Like, you know what I mean? Like to get things done right then and there. What I'm saying is that the price of tools have gone up significantly with inflation. It's a sure sign. And anyone that's going to buy tools or a carpenter or automotive tech, whatever, they're seeing that pain in tools.
Wow.
Yep.
That's an interesting thing. I guess it's because you'll always need that. You always need a freaking screwdriver.
Yeah. Yep.
It says Malay's opponents in the presidential race sharply criticized his words, saying he's fomenting a run on the peso. I was fomenting a run on the U.S. dollar earlier this year. Economy Minister Sergio Massa, the presidential candidate for the governing Union of the Homeland Coalition, sounds gross, said that some candidates are capable of setting fire to a house for a vote.
Come on.
He's all about union, and the union, keeping the house together, sounds Lincolnish and I don't
they're
like that.
they're not literal; they're figurative to the House of like government. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just wants to set fire to the government just for a vote. Stupid. He obviously doesn't like the government and the way people are running things. So
that's definitely a perversion. Again, like that's definitely an attack.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. Patricia Bullrich, the candidate of the main opposition coalition, United for Change, also sounds gross, said Tuesday that between Massa, the arsonist who is leading us into hyperinflation, and Malay's irresponsibility, which encourages the currency run, there are Argentines distressed about the present and the future. It's almost like when you tell people the real situation of what's going on, you shine a light on the situation as it is, that people might get distressed about the way the politicians are running the show.
Weird.
That's how it's supposed to be. That's like that's what Ron Paul did. But did he cause a hyperinflation? No, they were already doing that. It's just now it's, people are waking up to it and realizing it and strategizing and adjusting to that system. And maybe it is causing the hyperinflation because it's about freaking time, start converting.
I feel like Ron Paul taught more people what the Fed is, what is it called when they have like 10%, they only have like 10% in the bank.
Fractional reserve banking.
Fractional reserve banking. He taught more people what that is than any school has ever taught.
And quite honestly, when I learned what fractional reserve banking was, not a hard concept.
Yeah.
Right? But when I learned what it was when I really came over to sort of like voluntarism, right? I figured out what banks were doing. I didn't figure it out. Somebody else taught me what banks were doing.
And the Fed.
And I listened to them and I was like, hey, wait a minute. This is actually happening. Here's the concept. I have a bank. I only have $10,000 in the bank. Mm-hmm. Somebody comes to me, wants to borrow $100,000. The government tells me it's okay for me to write them a loan for $100,000 because
with
I
digital, typing the word $100,000.
Brand new, like money just printed out of thin air, right? They just basically create a new number, and they say it's okay because I'm sitting on $10,000.
They're sitting on equity.
They figure that that's enough for me to risk a 10x loan to somebody else. And if they don't pay it back, guess what? It's FDIC insured.
And they've stacked these loans, so if one fails, others fail. And that's a horrible system.
Well, I'm going to finish this segment with a quote from Malay. It says, "If you want to find those responsible, look in the mirror." Malay, a self-described anarcho-capitalist, wrote on social media. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. Don't go anywhere.
When New Hampshire peacefully leaves the Union, will we have to take on some of the national debt? Let's be clear, that's not national debt, that's federal debt. Debt that was incurred by a bunch of people that we didn't elect, forcing policies on us that we didn't want, and 2.5 million unelected federal bureaucrats. According to Professor Matt Quartrup from Coventry University and the foremost expert on independence referenda, the rule in international law is that political divorce is not like domestic divorce in that there is no alimony due and no obligation to pay the debt incurred by the larger organization. New Hampshire's government is a paragon of fiscal responsibility compared to the United States federal government. We didn't create the national debt, we didn't consent to it, and when we declare peaceful independence, New Hampshire will not owe a single solitary dime of federal debt. You can learn more about how we can peacefully divorce D.C. at nhindependence.org and join the movement at nhexit.us.
Eleutheromania, the insatiable desire for freedom. It's the new 3-song heavy metal EP from Captain Kickass. Available now on your favorite music app or get it directly from CaptainKickass.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. Israel's defense chief has admitted there were security failures in the military response to Saturday's attack by Hamas. His comments come as the US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken visited Israel, where he promised continued American support for the country. However, there's growing concerns for the humanitarian situation inside Gaza, where the United Nations says conditions are dire, with food and water running out. Ross Cullen in Tel Aviv says the safety of the hostages is also unknown, while the bombing of Gaza by Israel continues.
The well-being, the whereabouts of the hostages inside Gaza, Israelis being held captive inside the Gaza Strip. Israel also saying on Thursday it has dropped some 6,000 bombs on the Palestinian territory since the attacks by Hamas in retaliation. And there are growing concerns over the rising number of people who've died, more than 1,300 in Israel, more than 1,300 in Gaza.
Meanwhile, the Biden administration is refreezing $6 billion of Iranian assets amid Tehran's continued support of Hamas in the wake of the terrorist group's attack on Israel. The US president was under pressure to halt the money that was part of a deal to free 5 US prisoners. It comes as the death toll of Americans killed in Israel increased to 27. The US House of Representatives remains in limbo as the Republican nominee for the House Speaker struggles to find enough support to be elected. It's unclear if Steve Scalise can win an overall majority in the chamber. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
The delay means the US Congress can't get back to work, passing critical legislation to fund the US government and support Israel. Steve Scalise defeated hardliner Jim Jordan in a private party vote on Wednesday. Now he's trying to unite divided House Republicans as he can only afford to lose the support of 4 members. Republicans are eager to avoid the drawn-out floor fight that happened earlier this year when it took Kevin McCarthy 15 ballots to be elected Speaker.
Federal prosecutors have hit US Senator Bob Menendez with a fresh charge of acting as a foreign agent. It comes after the long-term New Jersey Democrat was indicted last month for accepting bribes in return for political favours. FSN's William Denslow reports from New York.
In a superseding federal indictment, prosecutors alleged that Bob Menendez provided sensitive US government information that secretly aided the Egyptian government. The senator and his wife have previously been accused of accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars and gold bars in exchange for political favours to benefit 3 businessmen and the government of Egypt. The senator pleaded not guilty to those charges. William Denslow, New York.
From Bureau Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today at Hezbollah, the Party of God, and its base in Lebanon. As Israel's war against Hamas continues, the White House has again warned external actors to stay out of the conflict. But there are growing concerns that Hezbollah will launch drone and missile strikes on Israel. Lebanese-British conflict journalist Oz Kataji explains Hezbollah's relationship with Lebanon.
Hezbollah have a kind of domination over Lebanon. The military power that they have and the alliance that they have with various other factions puts them in complete domination of the country. They are much, much more powerful than the military. It's hard to kind of explain to people who don't have an understanding of this that the Lebanese army is very under-equipped. It's not a strong fighting force, and it doesn't fight against any of the, what are essentially massive terrorist groups that are funded by abroad. Iran pumps money into Hezbollah. The Lebanese army doesn't fight Hezbollah at all. It just allows Hezbollah, in fact, cooperates with Hezbollah on basically everything to do with security.
He says the Lebanese population is essentially held hostage by Hezbollah. President Biden this week warned Hezbollah and the Iranians not even to think about widening the conflict sparked by last weekend's murderous Hamas attacks on Israel. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
And the main news again, Israel's defence chief has admitted there were security failures in the military response to Saturday's attack by Hamas. Meanwhile, the Biden administration is refreezing $6 billion of Iranian assets amid Tehran's continued support of Hamas. And the US House of Representatives remains in limbo as the Republican nominee for House Speaker struggles to find enough support to be elected. From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
The couple told reporters this week that they routinely urge their son Patrick to devote all of his time and resources to his improv comedy education.
We keep telling Patrick again and again that if you don't buckle down and start learning basic concepts like yes and the Herald now, nobody is going to take you seriously later in life.
He has to start thinking about this now.
The parents explained that he should try to get as much out of his improv training as possible by attending improv jams, forming a few indie teams, and doing as much bar prov as possible to keep himself warm for those upcoming Herald auditions.
The fact is, if Patrick were on stage with his fellow improvisers, and one of them were to play, say, a supervillain who's afraid of mice, Patrick wouldn't even be able to identify the game in that scene, let alone respond in a supportive way.
I gotta say, I had this internship at a law firm, but I quit to do a character workshop and a musical elective. I think this is really gonna pay off for me in the long run.
This is the Onion News Network.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
Welcome to Free Talk Live. Did you say Om?
No, it's going to be like, and we're back.
Welcome to Free Talk Live, where
Peruvian throat singing.
we're chanting.
Sending out vibrations.
Yeah, it probably doesn't hurt. You know.
What's the other one? Gregorian chant.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. No, this is Free Talk Live, where actually what we do is we take your phone calls and thoughts and we put you on the radio where you can talk about whatever's on your mind. 603
Do we though?
283-6160. We do.
Okay.
603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. And with you in the studio tonight, it's me, Bonnie.
Some guy with a goatee.
And another guy that with a kind of a mustache a little bit. But
If you guys don't identify,
He's trying to come in.
I'm going to go
I
register a
identify at my pronouns, by the way. My preferred pronoun is mofo.
Okay. I thought your preferred identification is Gigi's boyfriend.
Well, that's her preferred identification for me.
You can call me the Robin Hood of Keene.
Well, we have actually a caller on the line. Gigi in South Carolina. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Bonnie, you are so adorable. I was cracking up just now listening to when you said Gigi's boyfriend. Yes, I adore any man with an intellect, and I feel that way about the captain. But I say
He's got a big intellect.
It's singular though. Notice.
Wife, and although I do adore his intellect, I respect his wife.
Oh, Captain's actually single.
I don't have a wife.
I thought he was married.
Good news, Gigi.
Good news, Gigi.
But I'm a married woman. But you know, in biblical times, even in some North African countries where there are still Jewish people, a Jewish man has more than one wife. What do you say, Captain?
You know, we can go to Utah.
Cook.
I've always wanted a harem.
Oh my gosh.
Can we try your cooking first
I'm
before
so
we
glad
make
you're
any
on
choices?
the phone tonight with us, Captain, because I remember what the Major said Sunday evening, and I had complimented him, and when he called in, he said, Gigi neglected to say it's going to get worse before it gets better. I hope the captain is listening tonight.
I am.
Because he was right, in my opinion.
Woohoo!
However, I would like to point something out. I am thinking, because I'm very passionate about political history, I taught history at various universities for 22 years, and I'm still young, but the Northern Irish entity known as Sinn Féin, the political branch of Northern Ireland, they made full peace with Prime Minister Tony Blair in 1993, the Good Friday Peace Accords. If they can get it together and stop bombing and stop violence and stop kidnapping and stop hostage taking and stop murders on both sides, then it's long past due that Israel and the Palestinians do the same.
I really like the idea of there being, calling for peace on both sides. So many people think it's just impossible. Like, oh, it's impossible.
It's not impossible.
No, it's not.
Because when you want to accomplish something, you do it.
Well,
right?
and it takes the people there to do something about it. Like, we can all sit here, we can opine on the internet, and we can call into a radio station, and that's great. We should do that. But the people that are there, that are in it, that are... do you guys remember the Christmas armistice?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And so, like, one day, some soldiers were just like, you know what, it's Christmas. Let's just put down our guns, and let's have a meal. Let's hang out. Let's play games, play some baseball, whatever, right? Like, it takes the people who are down there in it.
You are exactly correct, Captain. The people involved are the ones who must go forward in a progressive and joint venture. And why? If America and Vietnam can do it, and of all people, Germany and Israel, right?
Yeah, peace is definitely possible. It just takes the decision.
Well, I thought it was Hitler's idea to concentrate all the Jews in one area.
Listen,
Just saying.
it's an attitude by all parties.
I thought you were
and
making
how come President Nelson Mandela, he should rest in peace? He said, we're not going to take revenge. We're not going to put people in jail. We're going to have truth and reconciliation and go forward as a nation.
It takes being the bigger person to not want revenge in any situation. Thank you for the call, Gigi. I really appreciate it. It definitely takes being the bigger person. You always think that, like, these people got killed in this country, and the way to make that better is to kill innocent people in their country. And it doesn't make those other people come back to life. It doesn't help anyone. The only way to stop killing is to just stop killing.
I like that Gigi brought up Ireland. Ireland, historically speaking, I think Ireland might be the most libertarian geographic area, historically speaking. Mark Stovall put together something that I don't remember what year this came out. It's probably like, let me see what it says here, 2012. This was posted. 9,000 years of anarchy in Ireland. He says, I posted once before on Ireland and their anarchy that lasted for more than 1,000 years. This most remarkable historical example of a society of libertarian law and courts first came to my attention while reading Murray Rothbard's For a New Liberty. This was a society where not only the courts and the law were largely libertarian, but they were basically anarcho-capitalist in the modern sense of the phrase. The Celtic society was not some primitive society or tribe, but rather it was a highly complex society. Ireland, for centuries, was the most advanced, most scholarly, and most civilized society in all of Western Europe, and all without government. And if you want to read more about that, we'll, of course, post this in our links.
That was when they had the Ops or something?
The Tuatha. I'm probably mispronouncing Tuatha. The Tuatha were just, it's what you would expect to find in a society without an institution of violent government, right? It's what you would expect. Their society would, sort of locate wise people, not necessarily smart. I mean, you go quite smart, but like wise more than smart. Wise people. And when there was a conflict, they would just go, "Oh, can we both agree that Bob over here is wise?" And they're like, "Yeah, Bob's wise. He's been wise to me. He's been wise to you." Okay, yeah. Let's ask Bob how we should go about resolving our conflict. And they would do that. And so this is arbitration, right?
There's a conflict of interest since Bob's your uncle.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, that always happens.
I did not expect that joke from Bonnie.
I think it was kind of a captain joke.
It was a captain joke. But the Tuatha were just... they were like friendly societies, like the Kiwanis or the Lions Club or this type of thing. Like friendly societies used to sort of be largely the thing that drove industry, medical industry for certain. These friendly societies were just groups of people who'd get together and they would pay like a doctor's salary for a year. And amongst whoever, the 20 or 30 people in this group, whoever they were, if one person started to sort of monopolize that doctor, the rest of the group would get together and be like, "Hey, you're kind of taking up too much of this doctor's time. He doesn't have enough time to come and see us. We need to, make sure that goes. Do you want to pay more so that you can have more time? Or do you want to cut back on the time? Or do you want to go join another Tuatha where maybe it's a smaller group or maybe the doctor is a specialized thing to help you with whatever you got going on," right? These were options, right? We don't have these options. Also, the incentive was correct. With the hiring a doctor and paying his full salary, what they would do is they would pay him as long as everybody was healthy. If somebody wasn't healthy, they would stop paying him until they were healthy again. This incentivized the doctor to not only just do whatever the tried and true methods were, aka, we'll call it above board science, but it incentivized him to do things including natural remedies. Right, using plants and using herbs and using, exposure to the sun and things of that nature to
Instead of just
help heal people.
Oh, you make the most money the more pharmaceuticals you can sell.
Right. What we have today, doctors are just drug pushers.
Incentivized for you to be sick.
Right.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to cure you. They want to create a subscription-based customer. They want you to pay every month for the rest of your life. Whereas the incentive needs to be the other way around. The incentive for doctors needs to be creating healthy humans. And they're not doing that.
Right.
Joe and I were having an infuriating conversation today with this canvasser because I was just trying to explain to him, has a cop ever helped you with something? He's like, yeah, a cop stopped these bullies from beating me up when I was a kid. I was like, okay, so you like that the cop did that. Why is it so hard to understand that a person could do that job, but without stealing from your neighbors to get it and you paying it yourself? And he just started saying, "Oh, well, I'm black. And in my neighborhood, you think people can afford private security?" It was just so infuriating because it's like, what if your community wasn't being
if you weren't
stolen
taxed
from?
so much.
Right.
But I want to elaborate on this. I want to talk about it on the air. And we've been told, us not to reveal his name and other things. And there's a reason. He actually gave me a really good story. And I don't really want to spoil it too much. Don't say what town or anything like that. But let's put it this way: his rights were highly violated.
And
here
he's
in New
still a
Hampshire.
cop lover. It's weird.
And he's still licking the boots a little bit there. And I was
Maybe
like,
we were getting to him, maybe, but it didn't seem like it.
I think he was, because he was campaigning for someone, he had to keep a certain sort of repertoire going, whatever.
Right wing leaning.
Yeah, I don't think he was. He doesn't want to wear the shirt of this guy's. Running.
Wait,
he's
a black man leading right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was kind of fascinating. And he doesn't want this story to get out until after the election.
It's probably not as uncommon as my reaction makes it seem. I was just like, we're in Keene, New Hampshire, where it's basically white.
Yeah, that's a good point. And maybe that's part of the reason why the cops decided to pick on him. That's what I was wondering.
I think so too, but I will reveal that story when need be. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, Bonnie, but
I don't want to reveal the story.
I kind of promised with him, so you should have heard that part.
Yeah.
A little bit. Okay, all right.
I was just bringing up the fact that we were trying to talk to him about, cops could be paid voluntarily, and instead of being, cops, they would just be like private security.
Yeah.
And if you didn't like their work, you pay a different
you
company to do
fire 'em.
it. Just like what Captain was saying with the doctors. And he just couldn't wrap his mind around it. He kept saying, that's impossible. What? It's crazy how people just can't wrap their mind around
You'd save money.
certain ideas.
You would save money because the amount of money that they steal is way more than they need. And they waste it because they know they're just going to get it because they steal it. But when they can't steal it and they are, privatized, they're going to do as best of a job they can with the money that they have. And if they do a really good job, they get more money.
Yep.
They have an incentive, like a business, to operate in a way that,
pleases the customer.
Exactly.
That's the most underrated thing about human beings in all of society across the entire globe is people failing to recognize that human beings are incentive-oriented individuals, right? How many times do we hear things like, oh, he took the path of least resistance.
Right.
That's not necessarily true. He could have taken the path of most incentive, which is generally the case.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can correct the incentivization of people, you can correct all of the bad things that happen.
Hey, you want private security? Private policing? Guess what? They will let you smoke a joint walking down the road.
Yeah, they won't tackle you if they see you doing it.
You can drink a beer walking down the road. You could maybe even drink and drive. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but as long as you're doing it responsibly and not causing harm to others, they're not going to get you for one beer, and ruin your life.
Yeah, in Utah, it's 0.05%.
I mean, I go on and on about the things that they do to destroy our lives.
Yeah, 0.05 in Utah.
I could go on and on about what cops do, the theft paid cops, how they ruin lives, and
We talk
the
about it every
private
night.
cops won't do that. They want you to be happy. They don't want to ruin a customer. They're going to be like,
Or
okay.
ruin a life, or
Yeah.
kill your dog, or whatever.
Well, I mean, think of it as a business because, that's what it's ultimately come down to. And yeah, I think they would still care about the community. I actually think, all right, so this is what really, ticks me off about cops is that they do all this detail work and overtime hours. Like in Manchester, they have a comfort pony, they do these senior walks in Manchester, and they hire this cop to walk around with the seniors. I'm like, and everyone's calling him a hero because he lets
such a hard job.
old people cross the road every block. Are you kidding me? Yeah. We don't need to hire. We could hire a young gun that has good eyesight and good hearing to make sure that they don't get smushed on the road. Okay, we don't need a cop with a huge pension to do this.
Yeah, paid so much. How much could you pay a teenager to do that? A lot less.
Right.
And they could do a good job and entertain the the old person.
And keep in mind that police are reactionary. They are not. What's the word I'm looking for? In front of it.
They're not sitting there actually stopping crimes. They just write a report afterwards.
Yeah.
They go after petty stuff all the time.
Right.
That's all they look for is the petty stuff.
With the exception of traffic tickets where they're on the hunt.
Yeah.
Right?
That's petty stuff, yeah.
But and again, and I say this frequently, so I apologize if this is redundant to some of our listeners, but when's the last time you saw a fire truck hiding behind a billboard or a sign or a set of bushes, just looking for somebody who's gonna set a fire, waiting for somebody who might be trying to entrap somebody into setting a fire so they can run over and put it out, right?
Yeah.
You never see that. Why do you see that with police?
Yeah, today, I was on the phone with a frequent caller, Alu, and I was on the phone privately, and he was telling me that since he's an author. And you can find his work at libertyblock.com or thelibertyblock.com. Now I can't remember right now. Well, he's an author of many books, and he was talking about adding, eventually one day he wants to add more chapters to his book, Presumed Guilty. And he said he's looking for more stories about, how the cops will leave a car with its keys sitting somewhere just to catch someone stealing the car.
Yeah.
That's total entrapment and so stupid. Why do we need to pay people to be out there creating criminals? It's so stupid. It's like what you're saying. You don't get people out there creating arsonists.
Right.
I'm just going to leave these matches.
Well,
right
look at
here
what
by
the
Swing
federal
Building.
government did to Ian Freeman. They created a criminal.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't harm anybody. He caused no physical harm to anyone. All of his transactions were completely voluntary.
He tried to prevent financial harm.
He went out of his way to prevent and prevented more financial harm than the entire FBI has done.
Right.
Right? By himself in doing this thing. And they've created what I call criminals of bureaucracy. That is a paperwork violation. right? He was found guilty of you didn't pay a fee and fill out the right paperwork to the government to be conducting your life the way you were. That's what they found him guilty of. He harmed no one. He harmed no one's property, and he's looking at 8 years. They created a criminal out of nothing.
And we are an Open Phones show, so I'm going to go back to the phones. We have Law Dog in Michigan. You're on the phones, Law Dog. What's on your mind?
Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Captain Kickass. How are you guys doing tonight?
Yourself.
Yeah. Now that your leader's in prison there, who's taking over? What's the manifesto and what's the game plan?
Well, so
Ian's only my leader.
So yeah, like in what's today, Thursday? So I think as of Monday, you're going to see a whole redesign of all of the web presence, and you're going to hear brand new music. It's going to be basically Lady Gaga for our bumper music in and out. And we're going to change the name of the show to Bonnie Talk Live.
Yes.
It's going to be BTL, not to be confused with Beard Talk Live, which is also BTL. But yeah, basically, Bonnie's just taking over the whole show, and you're just going to have to live with it.
It's going to be only me and Nikki from now on. Occasionally we'll have Lori. Only women.
Well, suddenly I've lost my seat.
Well, that isn't all bad, I guess.
Captain can do behind the scenes work on the when
Yeah, I'll be
computers don't
the
work.
producer / tech support / whatever.
So what's the plan on springing Ian out of prison there? Is there any?
Well, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get all three warring sets of outlaw bikers, right? So we're trying to get the Hells Angels, the Outlaws, and the Banditos all to act cooperatively and voluntarily to stage a breakout.
No, stop.
We're not doing
That's
any of it.
wonderful. I have a suggestion here, if you'd like to hear it.
Tanks? No, I'm kidding.
Killdozer?
No tanks. No tanks.
Killdozer?
Why don't you email Peter Ducey of the press corps, and he can ask KGP or whatever she is or whoever she is, would Biden pardon the Crypto Six, and then you get some other moderators on the questions on the debate asking these guys out there like DeSantis, Trump, and even your friend Vivek there, if they would pardon the Crypto Six.
He's not my friend. I actually do think that
nationwide discussion and debate.
I do think that that's a good idea to. I just want to respond. Come on, you've already said it.
Man out of prison.
So I do think it's a good idea to, if you know that there's some politician going around, and thank you for the call, Law Dog. If you think there's some politician going around and you want to go see him, if you get the chance to ask a question, usually these things are pretty canned, but if you can, ask them, would you pardon Ian Freeman, and try to get a recording of that response, because that could be, putting them on the spot and making them have to answer that could be pretty interesting, but it's not going to get him out.
I had to look up
just
Peter.
get attention.
I had to look up Peter Ducey because
Isn't he on Fox and Friends?
When you say his name, I immediately want to say Peter Ducey.
Yeah.
Right? Because I imagine that his name is spelt far more similar to that than the sound of what was pronounced. But
I actually think it's Steve Ducey on Fox and
Peter
Friends.
Doocy. So, like, Ducey makes sense. Apparently, Peter Ducey is Fox News Channel's White House correspondent. And so he covers, government at the highest level. And,
just email him.
As if that's going to happen. I mean, these people in the mainstream media just do whatever government tells them to. Government constantly sends press releases to every news agency, and all these news agencies, these mainstream media people do is copy and paste. They don't do any research. They don't go, hey, wait, this is wrong, or no, we have a different take on it. No. They copy and paste and publish it. That's all they do.
Well, coming up, we're going to cover a police department that lost 25% of its officers for misconduct in the last 2 months. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. Israel's defense chief has admitted there were security failures in the military response to Saturday's attack by Hamas. His comments come as the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken visited Israel, where he promised continued American support for the country. However, there's growing concerns for the humanitarian situation inside Gaza, where the United Nations says conditions are dire, with food and water running out. Ross Cullen in Tel Aviv says the safety of the hostages is also unknown, while the bombing of Gaza by Israel continues.
The well-being, the whereabouts of the hostages inside Gaza, Israelis being held captive inside the Gaza Strip. Israel also saying on Thursday it has dropped some 6,000 bombs on the Palestinian territory since the attacks by Hamas in retaliation. And there are growing concerns over the rising number of people who've died, more than 1,300 in Israel, more than 1,300 in Gaza.
Meanwhile, the Biden administration is refreezing $6 billion of Iranian assets amid Tehran's continued support of Hamas in the wake of the terrorist group's attack on Israel. The US president was under pressure to halt the money that was part of a deal to free 5 US prisoners. It comes as the death toll of Americans killed in Israel increased to 27. The US House of Representatives remains in limbo as the Republican nominee for the House Speaker struggles to find enough support to be elected. It's unclear if Steve Scalise can win an overall majority in the chamber. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
The delay means the US Congress can't get back to work, passing critical legislation to fund the US government and support Israel. Steve Scalise defeated hardliner Jim Jordan in a private party vote on Wednesday. Now he's trying to unite divided House Republicans as he can only afford to lose the support of 4 members. Republicans are eager to avoid the drawn-out floor fight that happened earlier this year when it took Kevin McCarthy 15 ballots to be elected Speaker.
Federal prosecutors have hit US Senator Bob Menendez with a fresh charge of acting as a foreign agent. It comes after the long-term New Jersey Democrat was indicted last month for accepting bribes in return for political favours. FSN's William Denslow reports from New York.
In a superseding federal indictment, prosecutors alleged that Bob Menendez provided sensitive US government information that secretly aided the Egyptian government. The senator and his wife have previously been accused of accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars and gold bars in exchange for political favours to benefit 3 businessmen and the government of Egypt. The senator pleaded not guilty to those charges. William Denslow, New York.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
And we're back without Captain.
Captain's not back.
Sorry, Coconut didn't get the cue.
Oh.
Oh, he loves the microphone.
I was pointing the mic at him, but he was like, no.
He has nothing
I'm
to say.
too cool to be on the radio.
He's keeping it close to his chest.
He'll only do television appearances. But
yeah, only close-up.
He's a bit of a snob. He needs only green M&Ms in the bowl in his green room.
I heard he did the Oscar Mayer Wiener commercial or something, right?
He's not a wiener dog.
You dressed him up like a hot dog.
Yeah, I heard. I heard he had a Halloween hot dog costume.
Yes. I have him HOTDOG costume. I can't say it out loud around
I'm
him.
sorry. DAWG.
Yeah.
Hot dog.
Yep, that's what he's going to be for Halloween.
Dog.
D-A-W-G, dog.
It's kind of a bad idea because he's not reacting right now, but he's being really calm. If you say that word, normally it gets him really excited. We're talking about my dog Coconut that's here in the studio with us, and this is Free Talk Live, and we are Bonnie,
Coconut,
Captain,
and Joa.
There you go.
Well, I got mine right. You guys, you didn't get yours right.
Yeah, we're weird. Sorry.
But we've been talking tonight about all of the ways that the government sucks and their jobs could be done a lot better by private companies and without violating your rights or harming you or killing your dog.
To be fair, we would need far more than 3 hours to talk about all of the ways the government sucks.
True. We've been talking about many of them. But one thing we did today, I want to give out the phone number, though, because you can bring up whatever's on your mind. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. So I did want to bring up, Joa has a YouTube called Breaking the Flaw, and today he and I went out and recorded ourselves putting quarters in meters. And why is that, Joa?
Activism.
But first, all right, so I went a couple days ago, and I did a records request, and I got an email this morning saying, sorry, but you didn't have an authorized signature on your anonymous records request. I mean, come on. How absurd is this? So, well, Bonnie, you had asked me if you want to go do Robin Hood. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Couldn't you have done just like John Doe, right?
Yeah.
Bob Smith, something,
Yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't
I'm just
have
asking.
expected that you need a signature on an
Like-
anonymous request.
Sounds so silly.
Depending on like how badly you want the information, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I would
you know.
probably give it up, but they're idiots for challenging it. But
Sure.
Okay. But yeah, Bonnie asked if we wanted to go go Robin Hooding. I was like, yeah, let's go. And so we did. And I don't know how many people we saved.
I did at least 8.
Yeah, I feel like we did like over a dozen.
Let's tell our listeners who don't know, what is Robin Hooding?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you basically forward follow the parking enforcer.
Meter maid.
Yep, meter maid, parking Nazi, whatever you want to call it.
Parking Nazi.
And you put the money in before they get there. And Lynn, we found out her name today is Lynn.
Yeah, we thought she was Jane, but actually this one's
They kind of
Lynn.
look alike. Honestly.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
And
They both look soulless and old.
Yeah. Yep, it's pretty sad.
You would too if that were your job.
No, I wouldn't.
And
well, you wouldn't take that job. But
Yeah.
Lynn wears a brown coat, ironically, and goes around, takes people's money by fining them, putting tickets on their cars.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get to the meters, the coin-fed meters, unfortunately, there is other meters that are not like that. We have no control, or we haven't figured out yet how to.
They're pay by app. And
Yeah, and wonder if there's a way we can do it eventually. But anyways, so we see that the meter has run out, and we put in not a quarter, a nickel.
Just one nickel for
Yep, for
3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes. And sometimes we're generous, and like, especially if someone's parking right there, I want to be like, hey, you mind if, because we have the interaction, and I'll be like, hey, how long are you going to be? I'll put the money in for you. So I like to feed people's meters as they park too, just so because they'll appreciate that we fed the meter, and they appreciate what we're doing.
Somebody actually said thank you to me today. And it's like,
I've had several thank yous.
who says thank you to the meter maid?
Never.
No one. Thank you. Thank you for this ticket. Thank you for charging me $15 because I accidentally forgot that I was parked for like 5 minutes
about
extra.
Cognitive Stockholm dissonance syndrome.
What?
If they said that. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
if
if
they
you're
did.
like, oh, thank you for giving me this ticket, so I have to pay a fine.
I
for...
Someone out
totally
there probably
deserve
is.
this. Thank you so much.
Somebody out there is probably doing that,
That-
honestly. There
that
are
is-
people that
that
much
is-
of cucks for the government.
That is the definite, and it's like cognitive dissonance and Stockholm syndrome are two different things. But no, to me, it's all just one thing. It's cognitive Stockholm dissonance syndrome, and way too many people suffer from this.
So yeah, we saved a few people.
So
and
right
what
when
else
she's about to
happened?
walk up to him, yeah, we'll put the quarter in or nickel, sorry, and then she goes just like keeps walking. She's so annoyed. The other thing
Yeah, she
is they are supposed to clock out for the day or at least stop doing their patrolling at 5, but both of them, because then a male one showed up, a gentleman meter maid
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
showed up, and he was terrible. He wouldn't
Come
identify.
on, meter man.
He's
right?
a meter man.
I'm meter man.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. No, actually,
I'm
you
not a
guys
mermaid,
were
I'm
the,
a
you guys were the
merman.
superheroes.
His
really.
name is Have a Nice Day.
Yeah, that's what he kept saying. You were like, I was like, you have to identify. I don't remember if it's Article or Amendment 8 of the New Hampshire Constitution, but whatever it is, in the New Hampshire Constitution that he supposedly probably took an oath to, he's supposed to be transparent and open and honest, and he's supposed to tell you his name. You're a member of the public, and I would say, what's your name, sir? And he would say, have a nice day. And he was just being such a jerk.
You didn't see it, but he did a football move on me.
What?
Yeah, try to like, get me to go the
football
wrong way.
or NFL football?
NFL.
Okay,
Oh, he did like a
I
like
just
a
call it that. You
basketball,
could call it a basketball move too.
like to pretend to go one way.
He juke left.
yeah.
Wow, what a loser.
And then he started to like follow behind me, like he's accomplishing something, like it's his job. But some lady is like, "Hey, do you have a lighter?" So I just stop in my tracks, and that meter man, hardly a man,
Meter maid.
he
Meter
brushed,
maiden.
he slightly brushed into me, and I've. It's not a big deal. It's just my clothing. But the thing is that he was doing that to intimidate.
Right.
I was staying a good
He's like a
safe
tiny man,
distance
too.
from him. And then when he went right behind me, he is clearly, that's like intimidation.
Right.
You need to do that.
Yeah,
And then-
cops still do the same thing. They want to be behind you, but they don't want you to be behind them.
Right. And that's what I'm doing. I'm following you, man. But I'm not hovering over you like you were doing.
Right. We were keeping 6 feet away.
Yeah. And he was clearly agitated. He's like, "Have a nice day.
He wouldn't
Have a
answer.
nice day."
So,
he said it like 8 times.
The other thing about it is we caused them to get so annoyed from being followed by us that they clocked out at 4. So, an hour of free parking in Keene today thanks to Joe and Bonnie.
Yay.
You guys rock.
Right.
That's awesome.
Or at least not free because people didn't know, but
Well.
they wouldn't get tickets for sure.
And my favorite part out of the other day and today is the library. Because they're double dipping. One, they're stealing from you already for the
Right.
library.
And then they have
And then they
maids.
charge you a meter
Meters, I mean.
to be in the library because you have to park. And I look at it as like they're charging you to read.
And don't they charge you if you have like overdue books and all that kind of stuff too?
Yeah, but see, that's kind of like,
I get it's their way of people not
return
stealing
the
books, but like
you should return.
I
the
mean, they were already bought with stolen money.
You're volunteering to go to the library to participate in that system. You don't have to go to the library. Honestly, no one has to go to
Books
the
are
library.
dirt cheap.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you can go anywhere.
So by that same logic, then toll roads are also double dipping.
Yes. Yeah. You already
Because
paid for the roads.
You've already paid for the roads.
Correct.
I agree.
There's no reason for them to
That
charge
is just
you
a
again.
system to milk. Actually, the New Hampshire tolls have already paid for the roads. They basically are just run by a private company, and the government takes a cut.
Yep.
There's no reason they exist anymore.
Easy pass.
But I don't think you really finished your story.
I just go through the Easy Pass because it says
Right.
Easy Pass.
I go
Like
through it
I'm
too.
going to go through it. It's easy, right?
Nothing's
It
happened.
actually is really easy to just go past it.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
Nothing has happened to me.
No,
from
nothing's
doing that.
happened to me either.
But you didn't really finish your story about
Yes.
you put in an anonymous records request,
Yes.
and what happened?
Okay, so we get to City Hall, Keene, New Hampshire City Hall, and I go to the city clerk and I talk to him. Hey, I don't know why you guys are denying me my records request because I didn't give a signature on an anonymous, records request. And the secretary there, she gets Bill, the guy that actually sent me the email, and he just starts off like immediately. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, it's fine. I'll fulfill it. I get it." Da 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 da.
I give him an A for transparency. He was fine with the cameras. He explained everything to you.
Yeah.
He was, as far as being an auditor, I don't think he did a bad job.
I think he put his foot in his mouth when he sent that email, and he realized that he is up for a lawsuit if he doesn't fulfill it.
Oh, that's why he was on his best behavior.
That's why I think he was looked a little like nervous and like oh yeah, no, I'm gonna get it done.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's what I was seeing in him, and yeah, because he knew he messed up.
All right. So, what did he tell you that you got to do now?
Nothing. He's gonna fulfill it.
He's gonna
It's
fix
just gonna
it?
take some time. And I'm actually surprised that they even messaged me like 2 days later that they just a
needed
response
this.
in general, because it usually takes them like a couple weeks to even respond to your email. You know, it just fades away in your mind sometimes, and you forget that you actually did it, and yeah. But so it was good.
Because of that guy, whatever his name is, Mr. Have a Nice Day, who wasn't giving his name, I put in a complaint today to the city manager. So the city manager of Keene, New Hampshire, I talked to her directly. They didn't have a complaint form.
Right.
I guess no one complains.
It doesn't happen that often.
Probably because of cognitive Stockholm dissonance syndrome. Yeah, people just don't complain about the very many things that they have to complain about the government stealing from them.
It's just that people have really, I think, given up in ways to complain. Like, they're not going to listen,
Yeah,
no,
that's a good point.
If everyone just complained, if everyone just showed up to City Hall, showed up to City Council
it
meetings.
put her in such a bad mood. She
What?
was so mad. We were there with cameras.
That was like the best moment I've had with her, because you should see other videos of her on my video. She's so like flaring arms, frustrated.
She
oh
was
my
like
God.
being flamboyantly annoyed with us, though. She
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
she was looking at us like, what is going on in that lobby? Like,
Yeah.
seriously?
And she
You
had
know.
to talk to her other colleague
Yeah, she
about
was
how
like-
we're filming in there. Like, she was doing it very like nonchalant, and then like so he got out of his office to see what was going to happen when she opened the door and talked to us.
It's like these people are terrified of cameras, like as if they're weapons. Like
Yeah.
we're out there like pointing guns at them or something.
And then ironically, there's a camera right there, dead
Right.
center in
Well,
her
that's
office,
them-
watching her all times.
That's them monitoring us. They don't
Oh,
want
yeah.
us
Oh,
monitoring
yeah,
them because they're, the special people and we're the plebes.
Well, unfortunately for them, we're the government watchdogs, and we're gonna put you in check there, lady Helen.
So, today my complaint wasn't actually about her, but it was to her.
Right.
So she gave me a regular piece of paper and a pen. I wrote out this maybe like 2-paragraph thing, and I handed it to her, and who knows what'll happen. I put my phone number on it. So.
And you went above and beyond and did the complaint, but I was even just saying to them, look, why don't you, like to Bill downstairs at the...
But he said he wouldn't. I know
That-
he wasn't going to do anything.
Well, he was like, I'm not sure, I gotta look into it, da da da. But I was saying, look, if you just educate the public officials, especially the park enforcement, about that, how they have to identify, and if you do that education, and then I go back out there and ask him again, is he gonna say his name or not? Like,
Clearly, Lynn knew she's supposed to because when I showed up today, I asked her, "What's your name, ma'am?" She was kind of silent, making a jeering face or whatever. And I said, "You do have to answer because you're a public official." And she said, "My name's Lynn." So, yeah, she obviously knew she had to. She really didn't want to talk to us at all. She wasn't laughing at any of our jokes today. She was doing all these nervous ticks, kicking rocks as she walked.
rolling eyes, and all kinds of things like that.
So yeah. That's basically what we did today. That was our public service for the day. I kind of feel like, how...
Let me just say thank you for your service.
Yeah, I was
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter Starfus.
Both of you.
I want to say, I'm not comparing
You're
us to like Gandhi or something, but back in the day when people had a message, they would go around their town and talk about it all day. And that's what Joe and I have basically done all day.
Yep.
We had this conversation with that canvasser, explaining to him why the cops are bad. We went around filming and policing the criminals in our neighborhood. Also, Joe put it on YouTube. I'm going to put mine on YouTube too. And we also ran into this guy with a Trump hat, and we were explaining to him what Joa's sign meant.
He's known. He's known.
Oh,
though.
wait. Oh, I know who he is.
Yeah.
Something with a B.
I don't really remember his name,
He
but
attacked Slumpy.
yeah, and he's also like
He's running for mayor.
threatened me before
It just
too.
occurred to me who he is.
Yeah, he's threatened me. I've seen him assault people.
It's
I've
like
seen him
Brendan.
pit the police against people.
Bradenton.
All kinds of things.
Something like that.
Yeah.
He goes by his last name that's with a B. Ugh, I can't remember his name now. Ian showed me a video of him. If you're a Free Keen fan, if you like the Free Keen stuff, especially from like a decade ago, he's the guy who put his face all up in the camera of. It was actually on Dave Ridley. It was on
He's like, I want to file a
RidleyReport.com.
complaint against him because he's a disturbance, something like that. I don't know what the context of the video
No,
was.
this other one, he was just being silent and he put his face all up
Oh,
in
yeah.
Dave Ridley's video camera just for like 2 minutes, and Ridley was just laughing. He was like, okay.
He did get kind of
He's
like he
being
did come
so
at me a
weird.
little aggressive because I know him, right? I've known of him.
that's who he is.
And when he got up off that bench, he came up to read my button that's on my gimbal, my tripod, right? And it says "state speech is hate speech." He had to get up to read it, which I was getting prepared that he is gonna like do something stupid because he has in the past, you know. So
yeah, he has like assaulted people before.
Yep.
He assaulted Gary Dean of previously on Free Talk Live, I think, but also Free Keen. I'm not sure if he was on Free Talk Live. Yeah, I forget the guy's name. Maybe we didn't do anything by talking to him. I just knew he was a statist, obviously.
Yeah, whatever.
And we were, spreading our message to him. That's what people used to do in the old days. It's like now people don't really have their own opinions, and if they do, you don't talk about religion, politics, and sex. So I'm just gonna have nothing to say all day, waste my life, and I don't know.
That's all I talk about. No,
well, it's because they're all getting fed instead of all choosing to engage. What do I mean by that? Well, most people turn on a television and just leave it on while they, put their coat down and take their shoes off and prep dinner and make their phone calls. And you're
downloading their opinions.
Yeah, you're getting fed that information just by osmosis.
Right.
Right. Same thing with the internet, scrolling, right? If you're just blah, 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 scrolling aimlessly, right? You're getting fed all these headlines. Most people only read the headlines anyway.
It's true.
Which is sad, right? Because there's so much more content on the internet than just the headline. But most people are just getting fed that. And that's enough for them to be programmed to regurgitate those things, right?
And actually, you bring up a great point right now. And I'm a little disappointed in Tim Pool because he had said today that he didn't use the words exactly, but he was working it around by saying it. World War III has started. And I think that was kind of irresponsible for him to say that because it's just not quite there yet, but we're pretty freaking close.
And making people believe that is a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a good strategy. And especially have that many people following you,
Right. If your goal is peace. Right.
He gets a lot of what do you call it?
Warmongers?
Well, no. He's told to say the words "civil war" on his show a lot because people donate and say the words, and he's like, "All right, there's civil war," and he just says it on his show, and he's joking. It's obvious he's joking about it, but he definitely panders to his crowd in that sense by saying it. Anyways,
interesting. Well, I just think, is that what Jesus did? Did Jesus just go download his opinions from the Sadducees and Pharisees all day and just repeat what he heard, or did he have opinions that went against the narrative and go around teaching it to people?
Right.
And I just think that, Jesus, Gandhi, people like that, they're people used to emulate, not, people that tell you to just ignore, be entertained.
You said earlier not to compare, yourselves to Gandhi and, your activism and that kind of thing. I also support not comparing yourselves to Gandhi because Dave Ridley already did that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I'm just saying, man, don't step on his toes, man. Ridley's great.
I've heard several things.
Yes, it's me, Gandhi.
Oh
I'm thinking Dave's voice.
He would call in, and then he did the walk, and
I can't believe
it was
that.
amazing.
Yeah, I forgot he was calling in with the Gandhi voice. I remember I asked my friend from Pakistan, I was like, is this offensive to you, Zulfi? And he was like, no, people from my part of the world, we love being emulated and talked about. He said the only people that wouldn't are, people from Pakistan, people from India who went to American colleges.
Prudes.
That's pretty funny. Well,
they went to Prude University.
Who knows if that's really true with everyone, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't offending my friend by posting Bitcoin Gandhi. But we're going to get right into it. We have this story from Eyewitness News, from ABC13.com. Patton Village Police Department loses 25% of its officers for misconduct, including sergeant arrested for a DWI.
Wait a second. That's not unheard of. I was arrested by a cop that actually had a DWI.
was it like going on in that moment, or
Actually, the way I learned about it is when Ian told me after my trial. I mean, he could have told me before my trial, so I could have questioned this guy. Like, how can we ever trust you ever again?
Yeah,
Did he get the DWI while on the job?
It was not on the job.
Wow, but still, how are you supposed to trust him?
Yeah.
He
lost the total trust of the community and the public when he did that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like,
And how can he testify against anyone ever again? You know, it's like he lost this. You should be held to a higher standard.
going around pulling people over for things like that.
Yeah.
After you did it, do you know what the substance was?
Alcohol. He was
wow.
drunk.
Yeah, that's like the worst. That's
Yeah.
like the worst drug to be.
Ask Ian about because he's the one that told me about it. Yep.
There's what baffles my mind is that I've traveled from state to state over the course of my life, and what baffles me is there's so many similar terminologies. So there's DWI, driving while intoxicated. There's DUI, driving under the influence.
That's what it was. DUI.
There's OWI, operating while intoxicated.
So that's like not a driving, but
There's
maybe a
OUI,
forklift.
operating under the influence. Right?
Is
There's-
operating like forklifts, like just not cars or something?
Like, I know somebody who effectively got a DUI, whatever these acronyms are, whichever one you want to assign to it, because he was on a lawn mowing tractor driving on not even the shoulder, but on the lawn of, next to the shoulder of the road.
Wow.
Right. And like, he only lived like, I don't know, 4 blocks or something away from the convenience store. And so he got on his riding lawnmower to go get a 6-pack of
That's
beer.
what my brother used to do, not for beer, but when he was a teenager,
Yeah.
before he could drive, and he was like, "Oh, I want to drive," he
And
would just drive his lawnmower.
Some cop with a vendetta or somebody was bored or whatever. He, quote, pulled him over. I don't know how you can pull over any further than the lawn.
Did he drive
past
into the grass?
shoulder of the, I'm not sure how that happened. I know people that have gotten tickets for DUI on like bicycles.
Yeah, I've heard of that too.
Right. So like, it's ridiculous. All the different acronyms for like this same action when like the end crime is already a crime, right? So let's say you get into a car and you drive drunk. Nothing happens. Okay, that happens pretty frequently. You get into a car and you drive drunk and you crash into somebody's fence, right?
pay
Okay,
restitution for
so
the fence.
now your justice means you got to make that person whole. You got to repair the fence. You got to apologize, maybe do some work for them, whatever it is. Make them whole again, right?
Yeah.
So that was already a criminal offense. Breaking somebody's property is already a crime,
Right.
Right? Not necessarily the drinking and the driving. There's also people who drink and drive who never get into an accident.
Right.
No one wants to ever talk about this,
right?
But it happens, and it happens all
They're
the
the
time.
ones with the cozies for their beers.
Alcohol. They're the ones with the cans, little wraps that go around the
Yeah,
can that make
they're
it look like
responsible
Mountain
drunks.
Dew.
Yeah.
Right. But it says Mountain like Blue or something. It's
Yeah.
like the same colors, but like it's just enough to pass a cursory observation.
See, I could see cops, maybe like a voluntary cop force, pulling people over who are even like swerving a whole lot. Like that's the most like what's the word? Like
That's called reckless driving. Already a crime.
See, that's like it. But if you're just driving normally, then a cop pulls you over because blah 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 whatever, and then they say they smell alcohol and you weren't hurting anybody. It's kind of silly. I mean, people are on substances all day. Are they gonna expand it into caffeine? 603-283.
I'm high on life.
6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Email is easy, instant, and free, and that can be real embarrassing. Email lacks the eye contact and body language you get in face-to-face conversation, or the tone of voice and other nuance you hear in a telephone conversation. Email is just words, often few words. We're all smothering in spam, so we often reply in terse fashion that's easy to misunderstand. And email doesn't cost you a postage stamp, and it lacks the deliberation time it'd take to walk to the snail mail box. So it's easy to succumb to the "oh yeah" stimulus response trap. When in doubt, don't snap back at snippy messages you get. You may have mistaken the sender's intent. And unless you're sending AOL to AOL, there's no unsend. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. Israel's defense chief has admitted there were security failures in the military response to Saturday's attack by the militant group Hamas, which controls the Gaza Strip. His comments came as the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Israel, where he promised continued American support for the country. FSN's Ross Cullen in Tel Aviv says the safety of more than 100 hostages is also unknown while the bombing of Gaza by Israel continues.
The well-being, the whereabouts of the hostages inside Gaza, Israelis, non-Israelis, women, children and members of Israel's armed forces as well, all being held captive inside the Gaza Strip. Israel also saying on Thursday it has dropped some 6,000 bombs on the Palestinian territory since the attacks by Hamas in retaliation. And there are growing concerns over the rising number of people who've died, more than 1,300 in Israel, more than 1,300 in Gaza.
There are growing concerns for the humanitarian situation in Gaza, with the United Nations saying conditions are dire with food and water running out. The Biden administration is refreezing $6 billion of Iranian assets amid Tehran's continued support of Hamas in the wake of the terrorist group's attack on Israel. The U.S. president was under pressure to halt the money that was part of the deal to free 5 U.S. prisoners. It comes as the death toll of Americans killed in Israel increased to 27. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
Following Hamas's attack on Saturday, US President Joe Biden has been pushed by both Republicans and Democrats to stop the recently unfrozen $6 billion of Iranian funds. It was earmarked to only be used for humanitarian purposes. But with Tehran's support of Hamas, the backlash directed at Biden has intensified, even though the White House says it has seen no evidence Iran directly assisted with the weekend's assault. The money had been moved to banks in Qatar, which would have allowed Iran to access the money. It's unclear now if the refreezing of the funds will be permanent or only temporary. I'm Nick Harper in Washington.
U.S. stocks lost ground Thursday after fresh data revealed that inflation remains stubbornly high. September's consumer price index figures were largely in line with analyst expectations and has left analysts wondering how the Federal Reserve will respond. FSN's William Denzelo reports from New York.
Analysts are now pricing in a roughly 30% chance the central bank will hike rates again in December in a bid to further tame inflation. At the close of trading Thursday, the Dow slid 0.5%, while the S&P and Nasdaq both dropped 0.6%.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today at Hezbollah, the party of God, and its base in Lebanon. As Israel's war against Hamas continues, the White House has again warned external actors to stay out of the conflict. But there are growing concerns that Hezbollah will launch drone and missile strikes on Israel. Lebanese-British conflict journalist Oz Kataji explains Hezbollah's relationship with Lebanon.
Hezbollah have a kind of domination over Lebanon. The military power that they
have and the alliance that they have with various other factions puts them in complete domination of the country. They are much, much more powerful than the military. It's hard to kind of explain to people who don't have an understanding of this that the Lebanese army is very under-equipped. It's not a strong fighting force, and it doesn't fight against any of the, what are essentially massive terrorist groups that are funded by abroad. Iran pumps money into Hezbollah. The Lebanese army doesn't fight Hezbollah at all. It just allows Hezbollah, in fact, cooperates with Hezbollah on basically everything to do with security.
He says the Lebanese population is essentially held hostage by Hezbollah. President Biden this week warned Hezbollah and the Iranians not even to think about widening the conflict sparked by last weekend's murderous Hamas attacks on Israel. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again.
Israel's defense chief admits there were security failures in the military response to Saturday's deadly attack by Hamas. The Biden administration refreezes $6 billion of Iranian assets amid Tehran's continued support of the militant group which controls the Gaza Strip. And U.S. stocks lose ground after fresh data reveals that inflation remains stubbornly high. That is the latest feature story news.
Terror and confusion fell upon the nation this week after nearly 314 million Americans reported inexplicably losing consciousness for 8 hours straight last night, with countless victims helplessly recovering from the fugue-like state with no memory whatsoever of the lost time. Researchers at Princeton University, who have been studying the alarming phenomenon since its inception, told reporters that though they were unable to ascertain the source of the sweeping condition, it appeared to be somehow linked to the setting of the sun.
Right now, we suspect that there may be some connection between these sudden blackouts and the visions that some Americans have reported experiencing while they were unconscious. But most of these hallucinations are too abstract for us to draw any definite conclusions from.
At this time, we urge people to never turn off their lights and under no circumstances close their eyes for any extended period of... Oh, God. It's happening again.
This is the Onion News Network.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
Talk Live. Welcome back. The number for you to join us is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Call in on this last segment. Last hour. And you can get on with us. Bring up whatever you want. Bring up a new topic that we're not talking about, or comment on what we're talking about. Accuse us of being liars. Yell in our faces. It's whatever. It's on Free Talk Live. In the studio with you tonight, it's me, Bonnie.
And me, Captain.
And I'm Joe.
Oh my God.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
But
hi, my name is Joe. I got a wife and 3 kids, and I work in a button factory.
I got a sack full of nickels.
Sack of justice.
Oh, justice.
Sack of justice right here.
Anyways, I wanted to tell you about Dash. This hour of Dash is brought to you by Dash, or Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash. Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Tired of the ever-inflating US dollar? You can live your life on Dash instead with some handy websites. BitRefill.com has been accepting Dash for years and has a ton of big-name retailers and brands, including grocers, gas stations, phone refills, Amazon, and even prepaid MasterCards. Plus, many of their gift cards are available at a discount. What about paying your bills? Spritz.finance can do that, and they can send you dollars to your bank account in case you still need those for some reason. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn more about Dash. Dash.org.
Throw your dollars in the trash. Use Dash.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
You like that?
That should be their freaking slogan, man.
Well, some people at these conferences, they wear shirts that look like Dash, but it says trash.
Wow,
So
that's
it's-
messed up.
yeah.
That's so stupid.
Right. I
Dash
know.
is so great. Like, it's the best cryptocurrency for
It's
utility. It's
like-
just people who hate using crypto for its actual intended purpose.
Right. I think utility coins are really the future, but then you should have a holdings coin, like a coin that you
Sure.
don't want to move that much.
This is the future, though, right? So competition
That's right.
breeds different features.
Right.
Now,
There's probably 5 different levels of how you should spend crypto. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So what are they? There's savings. Right. There is
Drugs.
Well,
On the dark web.
transactions.
Yeah.
Right. There's privacy.
Yep.
I'm missing 2. What are they?
Well, I'm thinking like larger purchases and smaller purchases are 2 separate. So, you might want to wait to, for a transaction to go through and be more secure when you're doing a large purchase, like on a car. But then it's like, I'm buying a candy bar. I'll just dash that real quick.
Yeah, and it'll pop up immediately. The store clerk won't have to wait for a confirmation.
Oh
They
my
just
God. Do you guys remember when they used to talk about Bitcoin and go, you'll never be able to buy a cup of coffee with it?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't get into it until 2020. I first
Uh-oh.
heard about it in 2017.
Yeah, there was a period of time where like that was the big criticism.
Hmm.
Like, okay, but you'll never
Right.
be able to buy a cup of coffee with it. And then all of a sudden, like, some coffee shop started taking crypto.
I won free unlimited coffee for the rest of my life from the Mighty Moose Mart. But if I didn't, I could buy coffee there every single day.
One?
Right?
No,
How
they
did
just
you
gave it to
win
me.
this? Oh,
Because they
what?
love me.
Oh.
You have to
Wait,
be.
they love me?
You have to become Chris and Colleen's adopted daughter. So if you can do that.
I mean, I could change my gender.
Did you basically
could.
do whatever they told you to?
I worked for them and they thought it was a good worker.
Were you their bitch?
No. They're really good people to work for.
I just feel
Mighty
like if
Moose
I
Mart
started
Keen.
working there, they'd give me free coffee, but I'm crossing my fingers.
Definitely if you work there.
The Mighty Moose Mart, by the way, both stores now here in Keene, New Hampshire carry Captain Kick-Ass rolling papers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I knew that you did it, the newer one, but
No, both of them now. Yeah, there's a box at each store, and they're the regular price. Whatever, they only have one price for these rolling papers, so whatever that is at each store, it's what it is. So.
Shameless plug there.
Shameless plug for Captain Kick-Ass rolling papers.
you can go to CaptainKickass.com to listen to his music and maybe give rolling papers.
And an EP on a USB card, and you can also get T-shirts. I have something called a Kick-Ass bundle up there. It's $40. It's the EP on a USB card. It's a special edition flip-out card with a leather case. You get 2 packs of rolling papers and a T-shirt in your size for $40. It's a pretty sweet deal.
Cool.
Well, when we last left you guys on the last segment, we were about to talk about this Texas police department that lost 25% of its force in 2 months. But first, since it is a call and talk show, I wanted to bring on Major Payne in Michigan. You're on Free Talk Live, Major. What's on your mind?
But
Captain, okay, so up there you got Moose Mart, right?
Yep.
In another part of the country, they got a chain called Piggly Wiggly.
Oh, I remember Piggly Wiggly grocery store.
Just by the namesake. I'm going to Moose Mart.
Yeah, I know. Every time I see a Piggly Wiggly in Alabama, I'm just like you.
Weirdly enough.
Joe, I got an idea how you can get underneath that meter maid skin even a little more.
Well, let's hear
Remember
it.
that old song by the Beatles, Lovely Rita, Meter Maid?
No.
Yeah, you don't know. Lovely Rita, meter maid.
Punch that up and listen to it. You can put that on your phone, and when she comes up and start harassing you, just start playing it.
Or just sing it to her. Yeah, go listen to it. It's off, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It's silly and cute, and you can sing it to her.
I was thinking about doing like they do in the Gold Coast, Australia, and wear like a really tight gold shiny bikini
What?
and feed the meters. Have you guys not seen this?
It's not a itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot candy.
No, not one of those.
I don't know what I'm saying.
And this has been going on there for over 50 years. That's how long they have had meters there in the Gold Coast. What's that?
I said, you going to go whole hog and put on like roller skates too and disco around the mirror?
I could. I was thinking banana hammock.
You can only go whole hog while at the Piggly Wiggly.
That makes twisted Captain logic, I guess. All right, Joey, you were saying take money and buy tools. Well, I got a meter story that involves tools.
Oh.
Okay, let's
better
hear it.
hang it up.
Wait, is it an angle grinder? Because we covered a bit where like the Blade Runners of London are taking out the spy cameras with angle grinders in like 4 seconds.
Wow.
No, this is way before they had cordless tools. This was probably I don't know 10, 15 years ago. These guys in New York got a great big pipe cutter, and they were going around just popping the heads off the parking meters.
Nice.
They were stealing change, I mean, it was criminal, but damn effective for free parking.
Yeah. You know what's funny is a recent sort of similar theft back in Rhode Island. It's probably like 5 or 6 years ago. They were putting in these speed cameras near schools, and they put one in. And look like little R2D2s, like robots or something. And the first one got like a spray painted over the glass, so it couldn't use the camera.
Was it up on the red lights?
No, it's just like on the sidewalk.
Weird.
Yeah, and then
Never seen that.
and then they put this brand new one in there at school, and then all of a sudden, someone stole it. They forgot to bolt it down on the ground.
Wow.
They just left it there
Now
on the
someone has that.
sidewalk, and someone stole it. I would
Someone
love to
has-
have one of those in my
Yeah,
house.
in your room. Yeah.
That'd be
Some
great.
kid in high school has that sitting in his room, and him and his friends sit
Yeah.
there and smoke weed and look at the R2D2.
You put a meter like in your living room behind your sofa in like one specific spot. And whenever somebody sits there, you're like, dude, you got to pay the meter, man.
Or you just make it watch NASCAR. And
Oh, I see it, because it's a
it
speed
just
thing.
flashes all the time. Oh
You
man.
guys remember about a week ago you were doing that story about this homeless camp by this store, and the guy was playing classical music trying to drive him off, and it was bugging out one of the neighbors?
Yeah.
Okay, you remember that Texas sheriff that was punishing the people by making them listen to the shark song?
Baby Shark.
Oh, yeah.
Baby Shark.
Oh
yeah.
God.
That's terrible, honestly.
Yeah, can you imagine 72 hours of Baby Shark?
No.
That would drive me the hell out of the homeless.
You know they use that in Guantanamo.
The Baby Shark song?
They use the Baby Shark song in Guantanamo.
Are you joking?
No.
No.
That's crazy, because that seriously would be torture. I worked at Walmart, and we had these little toys we were selling when I worked in the toy section. They were baby sharks, and if you pressed a button, it would play it, and I would get so annoyed because it seriously gets so stuck in your head.
I like to say that they played a McDonald's birthday song or something like that on them too.
I'm trying to remember, Major Payne, do you remember they did something similar at Waco when they were bombarding them with audio, and I don't remember the songs they used. Do you remember?
No, I do not. I don't ever heard of that one before.
Me either.
Because I remember learning about what the songs were, and I'm like, that's horrible.
Actually, hey, since you bring that up, Captain, there's a really good series. It's 2 seasons long, but it's on. I think it's on Netflix, and it's the Waco series. They did an excellent job. You really feel for the
I forget what they're called.
Elohim. No, they're the not.
People always make a joke about it with COVID. So there's like, it rhymes with COVID. I don't remember.
Oh my God, why can't I remember it? Anyways.
Ian has the worst search engine in the universe on this computer. Do not use SearchX. Just do not use it. I'm going to go to Google and type in what I just searched on SearchX, and it's going to actually pop up. But anyways.
Yeah, let's not say the G word, though, okay?
It's Branch Davidians.
No, they didn't call themselves that.
Oh, who called them that?
The media.
The feds actually called them the Branch Davidians.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think the press tagged them with that.
No, the press didn't do it. The FBI did it, and the press just mimicked that.
Sure,
but
they didn't call themselves.
they did not call themselves Davidians. No, they did not.
I found it, Captain. The music that they played included the sounds of rabbits being killed. That's weird. Warped Up Music. Nancy Sinatra singing "These Boots Are Made for Walking."
That's the one. Can you imagine just Nancy Sinatra's "These Boots Are Made for Walking" over and over?
Yeah, it's an annoying
and
song.
over.
I mean, I don't know her version specifically,
Yeah.
but that song would just get really old. Tibetan monks chanting and Christmas carols, that would get really old. Telephones ringing and Reveille. I don't know what that means.
Reveille.
So
that's the horn thing that they play to wake up
Yeah.
the troops at
okay.
dawn or whatever.
I read it wrong.
They so the thing is they interpret exactly how it went down with the audio in that miniseries, in that TV show, and so you could actually hear what they were hearing. So they actually got the FBI recordings, so you'll hear it in the show and how much they tortured not just the adults but these little kids with music and sound. It was terrible.
Was it Seventh-day Adventists?
Seventh-day Adventists are
Like a real church? Or normal church, I mean?
They are a church, and they exist still. They are, I believe, a branch of Christianity. And I don't remember what makes them different, what the seventh-day part is. Like, obviously, like, it's Sunday is the seventh day. They celebrate Advent. I don't know.
Mount Carmel.
Wow.
That's the place. Mount Carmel was what
You
they
mean
call.
Mount Caramel?
Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm just arguing with the pronunciation of
It's right next to
caramel.
Mount Nougat.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God.
Delicious.
Did you hang up on
They
that?
were members
else,
of
Major?
Mount Carmel. Okay.
I'm here. It's weird you should mention them putting a tape on of killing rabbits.
Yeah, that
But
is
I remember
weird.
one time when I was 16, rabbits make some weird noises. I wounded
know.
one and it ran into a brush pile. And I got up on the brush pile and I looked down and I spotted it. So I reached my hand down in there and I scruff and grabbed him up by the scruff of the neck. And I'll be damned if that little thing didn't start crying just like a baby.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yes. It's
actually,
horrid. It's horrid. I've done it.
I've never heard them die or anything, but one time I ran inside my house and told my mom, I hear a baby crying outside. And we looked all around. She was like, it's not a baby, but she still came to see what it was. And we never found it, but she kept saying it was probably a rabbit. But it sounded like a baby crying in our backyard.
Wow.
I couldn't find it.
It's a screeching, loud noise. It really is.
Well,
All
them
right.
dying is probably louder.
I found two things, and I have to say it on air because they both involve heavy metal, and it's about sonic violence, right? What we're talking about, the use of music in trying to affect people. Waco was by no means the first instance of musical warfare. A few years before, the U.S. had tried to ferret out opera lover Manuel Noriega from Panama City with a nonstop heavy metal bombardment. Madame Butterfly, La Traviata were no match for Black Sabbath and Judas Priest. The sonic assault was finally halted under pressure from the Vatican. In Guantanamo Bay, Joa, you mentioned this earlier, and other prisons in Afghanistan and Iraq, the British rights group Reprieve has claimed that interrogation techniques have involved the uses of extremely loud music by AC/DC and Metallica, as well as theme songs from children's television shows like Barney and Friends. These horrors were detailed by Andy Worthington in Counterpunch back in December of whatever year this was written in.
It's really gross to, pervert the use of music in that way. Torture people with
Especially Barney.
No, the government has invented what I call the brown note, right? So the government
what
has
South Park calls the brown note.
It's exactly what you think it is. What they've done is they've figured out that low sonic frequencies at a high enough amplitude. In other words, they got enough power, big enough amplifiers to make you can't hear this sound. But what it does is it's such a low frequency that it affects your bowels and makes you lose control of them.
What? I didn't know that was real.
It's something they experimented with.
Wait, maybe you told me this before on the air, because all of a sudden I got deja vu. But if you would have asked me if that's real, I would have said no 5 minutes ago.
Well, there are vibrations out there that help you relax.
Yeah.
So maybe it helps you extra relax.
In the bowel section. Well, thank you for the call, Major. We covered a lot of different random topics during that call. We also have Tim from Florida on the air with us. Tim, what's on your mind?
Well, this isn't what I called about, but I guess there are vibrations that can actually kill you. There's a whole
absolutely.
They call it a pseudoscience, I guess. I don't remember what it. Anyway, I actually have one question for each of you.
Okay.
If you would oblige.
Sure.
Who wants to go first?
meat.
Okay, Bonnie, how many conjugal visits does Ian get a month?
He doesn't get any. You don't get any in not federal.
State.
Yeah, in states. Thank you. Jail.
Okay, well that really takes the fun out of that question. I'm sorry.
Moving on.
Not
Captain's
worried about
next.
that.
Captain's next. Go ahead.
Next. Captain, have you heard of Queensryche?
I have.
Of what?
Queensryche.
What's that?
It's a band.
Okay.
Yeah, you asked Bonnie a question. Did you do what they told you to do? And it reminded me of some Queensryche song.
Oh.
And it starts off that way. I only did what they told me to do.
Yeah, I think that's off of one of probably their best album called Operation Mindcrime. And it has that sort of Operation Mindcrime is actually what do they call it? A concept album where all of the songs tell a story from front to back, kind of like an audio rock opera.
That is cool.
And so it is about it's at least about one person, and I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I listened to the whole album. But it's about at least one person, if not a couple of different people, and their foray into the world of spying and the underworld and that kind of stuff. Hence the term Operation Mindcrime.
Yeah, I think the main character was a drug addict, and basically he was employed to do hit jobs on people, and then he had some sort of girlfriend. Anyway, she got clean by going to the church, and he ended up having to, I think, off both of them. But
yeah. I think here's a fun fact. You know then that you probably know that I lived in Seattle for 22 years and was in heavy metal bands. Queensryche was a band. I was not in that band, but they were a band long before. Seattle? Yeah, in Seattle. They're internationally famous. And so they sort of lost fame. They had a falling out with their singer, got a different singer, whatever. They became a lesser known band over time. And my band was doing our CD release show. And the cover of our CD had a picture of a guy with a gas mask with mushroom clouds in the eyes, in the reflection of the eyes, with a cityscape behind him. And it was sort of an animated cartoon looking thing. I had a friend of mine, Chris, do the artwork for us. And one of the guys from Queensryche and their manager were at my CD release show where we unveiled this CD. We made a giant poster of it that was, 5 foot by 5 foot square, something like that, of the album cover. And so a couple of months go by, maybe 6 months or so, and Queensryche releases an album called Take Cover. You'll never guess what the cover looked like. It wasn't one guy in a face mask with mushroom clouds in it. It was supposedly all 4 or 5 members of Queensryche wearing face masks with mushroom clouds in their eyes and a cityscape in the background. Literally, Queensryche stole my album cover. So there you go. We even wrote a song about it called Queensryche Stole Our Album Cover and put it on the next on that CD. So anyway, the next CD. Sorry.
Wow.
Do you have a question for Joa?
That's a wild story. Yeah, Joe, you mentioned a button that someone came up and read. It said, "State speech is hate speech." If I recall correctly, that's Michael W. Dean's one of his buttons. And
yeah.
Thanks for
that's where we got it.
I need to order some of those. But actually, my question is, are you Michael W. Dean's illegitimate son, Joe? Because you kind of look like him.
Really?
I don't think
remember
so.
what he looked like.
He has a reddish, brownish hair. Maybe
my beard is red.
Wait, how
when it grows?
Approximately. You don't have to say if
I don't know. You just remind me of the younger Michael W. Dean. The picture I've seen of him when he was younger.
I've met Michael W. Dean, not in person, but over the phone. He had a radio program called the Freedom Fiends for a long time.
Fiends. I got worms.
Worms. I auditioned for that when I lived in Seattle, and due to technicalities, I wasn't able to complete said audition.
Huh.
Now, that being said, Michael Dean didn't know me at the time. I didn't know him at the time. He was a complete dick to me the entire time. Apparently, that's his shtick, though, right?
Yeah, it's his shtick.
I didn't get that right at the time. So I was just like, screw you, dude. And so I never did anything more with the show or whatever. And so, but I know what he looks like, and he's probably a little bit older than me even now, and so I could see where this caller is you kind of got you could be his cousin or something, I guess.
Well, Joe is only 16, And he's already engaged to the meter maid.
That's right.
Wow.
Well, disengage and get back to doing radio.
I'm making her a coin ring.
Ugh.
No, but I appreciate that, and it's funny you bring him up. I discovered his Biptunia show, and
the Bipcot license was the greatest thing. Yeah,
and so I inquired into him, and he sent me a care package of all these buttons and stickers, and I stuck them everywhere, and I gave away the buttons.
Oh, nice. So that is where your button came from?
Yeah.
Because I've seen that.
Well, that's a sticker on top of a button that I don't like anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, call in about whatever you like. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Free Talk Live.
I use the downsizedc.org system for responding to my Congress critters and talking to the thieves and liars and despots in Washington, D.C. And in these letters, they outline the issue for me. Then they flush it down the toilet. And it's so demeaning. Yeah. They just don't care what I think. I can tell them,
he'll pretend like he cares if he's trying to get elected.
They only care what you think if you're giving them a check with, 5 digits on it. Then you might be able to get them to do something. Yeah. But that's just one senator among the 535 disgusting, dishonorable thieves. What's a guy to do? These lobbying groups, they run Washington. Washington has been taken over. It does not belong to the American people. It doesn't do anything for the American people. It is a bad, bad place.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern at freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. Israel's defense chief has admitted there were security failures in the military response to Saturday's attack by the militant group Hamas, which controls the Gaza Strip. His comments came as the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Israel, where he promised continued American support for the country. FSN's Ross Cullen in Tel Aviv says the safety of more than 100 hostages is also unknown while the bombing of Gaza by Israel continues.
The well-being, the whereabouts of the hostages inside Gaza, Israelis, non-Israelis, women, children and members of Israel's armed forces as well, all being held captive inside the Gaza Strip. Israel also saying on Thursday it has dropped some 6,000 bombs on the Palestinian territory since the attacks by Hamas in retaliation. And there are growing concerns over the rising number of people who've died, more than 1,300 in Israel, more than 1,300 in Gaza.
There are growing concerns for the humanitarian situation in Gaza, with the United Nations saying conditions are dire with food and water running out. The Biden administration is refreezing $6 billion of Iranian assets amid Tehran's continued support of Hamas in the wake of the terrorist group's attack on Israel. The U.S. president was under pressure to halt the money that was part of the deal to free 5 U.S. prisoners. It comes as the death toll of Americans killed in Israel increased to 27. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
Following Hamas's attack on Saturday, US President Joe Biden has been pushed by both Republicans and Democrats to stop the recently unfrozen $6 billion of Iranian funds. It was earmarked to only be used for humanitarian purposes. But with Tehran's support of Hamas, the backlash directed at Biden has intensified, even though the White House says it has seen no evidence Iran directly assisted with the weekend's assault. The money had been moved to banks in Qatar, which would have allowed Iran to access the money. It's unclear now if the refreezing of the funds will be permanent or only temporary. I'm Nick Harper in Washington.
U.S. stocks lost ground Thursday after fresh data revealed that inflation remains stubbornly high. September's consumer price index figures were largely in line with analyst expectations and has left analysts wondering how the Federal Reserve will respond. FSN's William Denzelo reports from New York.
Analysts are now pricing in a roughly 30% chance the central bank will hike rates again in December in a bid to further tame inflation. At the close of trading Thursday, the Dow slid 0.5%, while the S&P and Nasdaq both dropped 0.6%.
From Bureaus Worldwide,
you can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live. It's talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 if you want to get in on this last segment with us. 603-283-6160. Bring up whatever's on your mind. There are no taboo topics. I wanted to thank Flipstarter.me. He's a platinum level amplifier.
Ooh, how much is that?
I think 25 or more a month.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sure is.
So thank you so much, Flipstarter.me, for being an amplifier. What does that mean? It's somebody who helps amplify, market, and promote and support the show. And you can do that at amps.freetalklive.com. That's amps.freetalklive.com. So thank you, Flipstarter.me.
All right, just to clarify, and this is from Wikipedia, so take it for what it's worth. The brown note. The brown note, also sometimes called the brown frequency or brown noise, is a hypothetical infrasonic frequency capable of causing fecal incontinence by creating acoustic resonance in the human bowel.
Can you do it on a recorder?
No. You need large amplification and large speakers. Frequencies supposedly involved are between 5 and 9 hertz, which are below the lower frequency limit of human hearing. High-powered sound waves below 20 hertz are felt in the body and not heard by the ear as sound. So there you go.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure the
It's very colorful.
the listeners have been, they'll be able to go far with that knowledge and do important things.
They're like, dude, I was listening to the radio and they're talking about the brown note, man.
I'm going to try to do it on my recorder.
Just make sure you do it responsibly and, sit on the toilet first.
Do it responsibly.
Or wear a diaper or something.
Ew. Well, moving on. We're going to this article from ABC13.com. Patton Village Police Department loses 25% of its officers for misconduct, including a sergeant arrested for DWI. Montgomery County, Texas, which I didn't know there's a Montgomery County, Texas. I know there's a Montgomery County, Tennessee, and a Montgomery, Alabama.
That's a city, though, not a
county. But that's not the county. Yeah.
Montgomery, Alabama.
The Patton Village Police Department has had 25% of its force gone in the past 2 months. ABC 13 learned the information after the arrest of a Patton Village police sergeant over the weekend. Eyewitness News, which is also ABC 13, kind of weird, learned Sergeant Christopher Bush is the third officer to lose his job at this small department in the last 2 months. Oh, so 3 is 25%. So Captain was correct.
No.
When you're asking, is that
Is it like a department of 4 and one guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like how the news made this sort of like a
sensational
headline. Yeah.
Clickbait.
That's what they do. All of the now former officers were accused of some kind of improper behavior. And that's what interested me because, people seem to think cops are the best of the best among us. They're just like the Eagle Scouts that want to help people and then they go become cops.
No, they become the worst of the worst when they put the uniform on because the uniform makes them morally obtuse.
Yep.
Yeah, they're purposely playing an ignorant role. That way, if they mess up, they pretend they didn't know. So it's their defense to be stupid and lie until it's necessary for them to reveal something just for their own favor. Yeah. It's the dumbest game. That's why when people come to the United States, they think we're really dumb because they see the police acting dumb. That's just my opinion.
There's so many TV shows that throughout the years, decades, portray police as the dumbest of the dumb. Everybody's I think of the Naked Gun guy.
Leslie Nielsen.
Yes. Everybody's
LA,
getting one over on him, and he doesn't even notice. He's so dumb.
Los Angeles police, they just came out again recently saying that they don't want to hire higher IQ.
Wow. Why do they admit that?
Yeah, they've admitted that. They're we actually look for people who are mid to low.
Yeah,
so
because that way they can't.
Orders.
Well, if they were smart, they'd probably rise up the ranks and then take over and make things right. That's what I think is going on because they know that if you're too smart, you stop figuring out that they're corrupt, right? And then you realize how stupid you were to become a cop. That's What's really going
I feel
on
like
there?
it's probably a really freaking sad situation for those people who truly, maybe they're not the smartest, but maybe they were like growing up bullied or had bad things happen to them. And then as they were growing up, they decided, I know what I'll do. I'll become a police officer and help people. Then they join, and then they realize it's all a charade. That was never what this is about. Like, people are, the higher ranking officers are using them to do dirty work and like keep telling them like, keep your mouth shut about this, by the way, boy, just so you know, intimidating them. It must be really sad.
I don't know if you ever seen the movie Training Day with Denzel Washington and I forget the other guy's name.
No.
But it's basically Denzel just takes on this new guy and it shows him how it really is to be a cop and like doesn't wear a uniform, just is rough and tough with everyone, like literally like will beat people up for information. And that's like that was like hyperbole of what's actually going on. These guys are a little bit more sneakier about it. I mean, it was also a movie, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really showing their attitude, and it's not uncommon to see this is actually happening everywhere.
Every day.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody seems to think their police department, like, oh yeah, where I'm from, my town in small town, wherever, it has really corrupt police. Like, you wouldn't believe it, but it's actually just that's how it is everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've heard so many people say that. I've like lived in lots of different states, and there's so many people that will be like, yeah, I'm from blah 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 town, like an hour away, and the most corrupt cops are there.
Yeah, I heard that in Seattle for the 22 years that I was there. I heard it about Milwaukee when I grew up in Wisconsin, right? I heard it in Minneapolis when I lived there, right? Like, oh, the Minneapolis, everybody, wherever you go. Yeah, it's the most corrupt police system.
I would say Minneapolis is pretty bad, but...
It is, but like, and they all are, but like, they're not all the worst. They're all just as bad as each other.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, moving on, it says, Patton Village is a small community of just 1,600 people in Montgomery County. The police department is the heart of the town. It's weird. This week, it's making headlines after Bush was arrested and charged for DWI, driving while intoxicated. All you can do is hold your phone to your ear and just kind of put your face into the pillow and, oh God, what now? It was heart-wrenching. Patton Village Police Chief Chris Hernandez said, what a freaking dramatic quote.
That's all you can do, police chief? That's all you can do is put your face into a pillow and cry about it? Like, you're the police chief. You'd think you could do more about it, right?
It's kind of a strange quote.
Not really high IQs.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I just cry about it.
That's all I can do.
That's all I can do is just cry about my pillow.
My pillow. Okay.
Is it a My Pillow, My Pillow?
Oh my God. Hopefully not. They're too good for them.
It is my pillow.
What do you mean? Hernandez confirmed that Bush resigned from his role at the police department on Tuesday morning. But now some are wondering why he was hired onto the force to begin with in 2019, 1 year after he was fired from his role as a firefighter in Bel Air and Westfield for making a social media post suggesting migrants should be hunted at the southern border. Wow.
Hunted.
Wow.
Migrants should be hunted. Are they going to, they're going to make you buy a license. you know that's going to happen, right? It's not deer season. It's not rabbit season. It's not duck season. It's human season. And they're going to make you buy a license to hunt the migrants at the border.
They get there follow that with war.
I want my license. I want it to be number 007.
Oh my
The license to kill.
Jesus. This is all terrible.
No, Jesus' number would be 666. Nope, sorry, 777.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's terrible.
This is terrible.
He got
We're terrible.
just fired from his role
show.
as a firefighter, but he just gets, oh, that's fine. You can work for the cops. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know how they justify these things at all.
Me neither.
I didn't read this whole article before bringing it onto the show tonight, but when I saw that there was like multiple cops that got arrested for misconduct, I knew there'd be interesting, terrible things in there that they got. This one didn't get fired for that on as a
Didn't get
cop.
fired for that. Okay.
I mean, the cop that arrested me, he didn't get fired for DUI.
What happened to him? Did he just get moved to a different department?
Probably.
No, he stayed as sheriff.
Whoa. That's crazy.
You remember this guy? He's the one that said, I gave him We had a brief standoff because I had my firearm.
Wait, sorry. Which
and we had
cop?
negotiations.
Is this Bullock?
I mean, which case was this?
When I got arrested on my birthday.
Oh.
Okay, I don't remember the trial.
And I had a parking ticket trial that same day.
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell? No.
Yeah, no, I remember you getting arrested on your birthday. But for some reason, I don't know if I went to that trial. Maybe only Ian went.
Oh.
I don't know. It's just not ringing a bell right now. But
Ding.
Yeah, cops will pull people over, and they can't see the irony at all. Like that they'll do things and not even face repercussions, but they're gonna pull you over for silly things or parking tickets or whatever.
Mm.
What did he say he was pulling you over for?
Well, they said I was driving with a suspended license.
Oh,
but
yeah.
that charge was dropped in court. So all the other charges shouldn't have stuck.
Right, that's what I hate.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whenever you get pulled over, arrested for something, and then they add extra charges on, but then the original thing they kidnapped you for ends up getting dropped, everything should get dropped.
So I don't understand how you get charged with driving with suspended license and driving with an invalid license.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
How do you get arrested for resisting arrest when the only charge against you is resisting arrest?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually,
Frank.
that's actually really interesting you bring that up, because I think if that's the only thing you're being charged with, they should really study the case, because you don't have any other original charge, and if anything, you have absolute right to resist, and you're allowed to use lethal force if you're being arrested wrongfully.
And let's talk about what resisting arrest is. It's human nature.
Yeah.
Right? What
That's
is
right.
arrest? Kidnapping.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? And it is human nature to resist being kidnapped by other people.
Yes.
So,
and I'm talking about actual federal law.
We're
have the right to
we're
defend
arresting
yourself.
you for feeling how a human should feel when they're being kidnapped.
There is a person I know that was getting arrested, and he is a traumatized PTSD having Marine vet. And his response to being grabbed for nothing was to knock the guy down.
Yep.
And he broke his sunglasses. So, well, he's getting charged with something bad about that. I don't know exactly what. But, they don't take kindly to you breaking their, sunglasses.
Yeah.
You broke my fist.
I have reactions like that from time to time. I was hanging out with just a bunch of friends of mine. We were drinking and playing cards and having a good time or whatever. And my friend at the time, Robert, he thought it would be funny to reach over to my plate and grab like some French fries off of my plate or something. And I just came down with a fist and, on his hand. And I'm like, dude, this is something you don't do.
Right.
You don't reach over to another man's plate and grab his food.
Yeah.
No, I've never been in prison, but... you should know this just as a man existing in today's society at, I think he was 35 years of age at the time. At 35 years of age, these are things you should be overdoing.
Right. It's like it's like you wouldn't get mad at someone, or you shouldn't get mad at someone if you do that thing where you try to scare them, like you come around the corner and they punch you.
Right.
You really shouldn't get
well,
mad
and this happened to me the only time I've ever hit a woman. Right, like, oh gosh, Captain's a domestic violence guy, right?
Gotta go become a cop.
It was Halloween, and I was trying to finish decorating the house for the Halloween, right? We're having some people come over or whatever, and my girlfriend came home and snuck into the house because it was Halloween, and she had her costume on and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Scary one.
And she snuck up, like I didn't know she was there or whatever, scared the Jesus out of me. Sorry, that's not the word I wanted to use.
How would Jesus?
And I swung around with an elbow because I didn't know who it was. Right? And I didn't clock her in the face or anything, but like I hit her in like the midsection or whatever, and she had a bruise for a couple of days or something like that. But I was like, oh my God, you scared the out of me. You know what I mean? And she's like, I'm so sorry. I thought it'd be funny for Halloween or whatever.
It scared the crap out of you when you saw it. Was it intending to be a sexy costume? Or actually intended to be a scary costume?
It was the person behind me inside the house that I didn't know was in the house.
Okay, yeah.
So I immediately go into self-defense mode, right? And she came up behind me and like sort of grabbed my waist, right? So now I'm being assaulted too, right? You know what I mean? I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I just turn around with an elbow, right?
Just being short and living with men, I have been elbowed in the face so many times just because I like come up like I'm about to say like hey or whatever, but not in a like they get scared kind of way. They just don't see me there kind of way, and I'm also just really quiet when I walk. I walk on my tippy toes a little.
You might get a kick out of this.
Might get a kick or elbow to the face.
Well, you might get. Well, let me just tell you the story, and you'll figure out what you get. Recently, I've lost some weight, some fat, right? Not a lot, but like enough for my belt, the end of it, to get longer, right?
Yeah.
Now, normally it tucks into the belt loops, or it's got one of those like extra loop things to sort of keep it snug to your waist or whatever. Well, that didn't happen one day, and so like this long end of my belt is just sort of sticking out the side of my pants, right?
Like a dog with an annoying tail it hits you with.
Right. And I'm in line at like the bank, right? And like I'm on my phone, I'm not paying attention. There's a lady with like a young boy behind me, and I turn around and like poke him in the face with just the end of the belt that's, it's like a foot sticking out of the belt or whatever. And he's like, "Hey, man." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, dude."
That sucks. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't get a kick out of it. I know what it's like to be short.
But you get a belt out of it.
Oh my gosh. Well, moving on to the phones, because it is an open phones talk show. We have David in New Mexico. I mean, Dr. Butt. Dr. Butt.
Wait, he's
You're
a
on
doctor
Free Talk
now?
Live. So
Okay, whatever, it's fine.
I think so.
Dr. Butt?
Do you have him on?
Yo, Doc.
It doesn't seem like he's there. I'm gonna put him
weird.
on hold. Maybe
Hang up on him. He'll call back.
Yeah, I'll hang up and
Call us back, David, if you're still there.
We didn't hear you.
You only got a couple minutes, though.
Yep.
Is a butt doctor?
I don't. He was calling himself Major Pain in the Butt
Oh.
because of Major Pain, our other caller, and Ian started saying, "Okay, Mr. Butt," and he's like, "Don't call me Mr. Butt," and I was like, "Dr. Butt," and then it just
The
stuck
next
for a
time he
while.
calls, he'll be like, "And now here's our favorite New Mexican proctologist."
Ian would always just start calling him Dr. Butt. Like he answered the phone us, and we have Dr. Butt in New Mexico for like a while. I changed it to David. I changed it back.
I call my friend Dr. Oscopy because his first name is Colin.
Good Lord. I used to do stuff like that with my friend Russell. It's anything with Russ. Danger Russ, Can Tanker Russ, right? Any word
No, I
with
don't get
Russ in
that.
it. Yeah, okay,
I
that's
don't know
fine.
what that means.
All right.
Russ?
Yeah,
Like Russell?
Rusty. My dad's name is Rusty.
Yeah, Russ is short for Russell or Rusty.
Okay, but I don't understand.
But Danger Russ.
Oh.
Right. Can Tanker Russ.
I was Russ.
Oh
no. It's got to
doesn't
have
work. It doesn't work.
Russ.
Carnivorous.
Yes.
Right. That's when he's eating a steak. Right.
Carnivorous. Makes him sound like a dinosaur.
When he makes you mad, you want to be Murder Russ.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway.
Anyways, let's go back to this story from ABC13.com. There was that weird quote from the other cop saying like that he was so sad, all he could do was cry in his pillow. It's a little weird. Hernandez confirmed that Bush resigned from his role at the police department on Tuesday morning. Bush is the one that got arrested and charged with DWI.
I'm sorry, I just have to stop you there. I have a dream that one day all police chiefs will cry into their pillow.
And resign from their roles.
Yes. All right, go ahead.
But now some are wondering why he was hired onto the force to begin with after I already said this, that he made a post on social media suggesting migrants should be hunted at the southern border. Quote, people are saying,
Shh, be very, very quiet.
Oh,
We
my
hunting migrants.
oh my God.
Oh my God, no.
That will fud.
No.
It says, people are saying, they must have thought it was a joke. Why didn't they do a background check? Well, the previous administration knew about it when they hired him in April 2019, Hernandez said. The latest arrest is only one layer. 13 investigates. Why do they have 3 different names? That's ABC 13. Found 2 other officers were let go at this 13-person apartment in the last 2 months. The chief told Eyewitness News one was a warrant sergeant let go after being accused of an administrative conduct issue. According to officials, the now former sergeant was the longest tenured employee of the city. We can only give them the tools. They have to use them. We don't tolerate that in the aspect that they're no longer part of the city. It sounds so stupid when they say, we don't tolerate bad behavior. Like, it's just because you got caught.
We only give them the tools. We can't enforce anything.
Yeah, they keep acting so helpless, too. It's like, what do we pay for you to do then? 13 Investigates found the other officer was let go in August. Harris County court records show former Patton Village officer Carlos Molina Torres is accused of impersonating a Harris County Sheriff's Office deputy while giving an eviction notice in 2022, among other charges. That's not, I mean, that's pretty weird. Not really that bad. Not as bad as saying that, we should kill Mexicans or whatever.
Hunt them.
He says, just because an individual makes a mistake and they're an officer doesn't mean every single one of us is like that. Hernandez, the crybaby one, said. I'm not really sure why they interviewed that guy.
Wait a minute. I want to go back to this hunting of the migrants. So what do? Do you have to go out and buy like pre-canned and, pre-bottled urine to attract the Mexicans?
No, you just
to the hunting ground.
Use hot sauce.
Oh, I see.
These are terrible jokes. This guy should be, shunned from all people
society.
In his city for this. This guy is a piece of crap human. I mean, he wants to be a parasite only. He can't get a real job, and he thinks that people who are leaving their country is to find a better life in a place where they think that you get paid for as good as you do. They think that you can. The people in society who do the best are because they worked really hard to get there.
And it's ironic, though. I wish they were educated before they came here, because look how the cops treat you.
Do you think they get that, like, Australian, that outback guy, like, we see the migrants crossing over the border?
I don't think so.
It's treating them like animals.
It's absolutely is. Yeah, you should never do that to humans. Humans should not treat humans as animals. And, screw your war.
There is a lady who used to work for Tim Pool. What the heck is her name? I don't remember right now. I don't really care. And she's really ugly and really stupid. And she posted that there should be automatic torrents, or what's the word? Those guns that will shoot. And they're like
turrets.
Turrets. Well, anyway, she said that those should be at the border and just automatically fire, like using AI. It's crazy.
Empire music,
right? Yeah. She said that on Twitter. Like, seriously, I would be I can't even believe. I imagine being that brazen to talk about people like that. And just think nothing's gonna happen.
Here's an idea. It's like, I think what they should do, if they really cared about like trying to prevent people from crossing the border, this is how you do it. You have like lock boxes. So if the immigrants cross the border and they go, like, say, I don't know, a football field away, they can still see the lock boxes that's behind them, right? But the lock box unlocks and there's food and water in it. But if they keep going, it locks back up. And they have to keep going. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to get them to go back the other way.
Like a proximity detector or something?
Yeah, and then they pass another lockbox, but it's not. It's locked. And then they go like a football field away, and then it beep unlocks.
Well, here's
so
the way.
trying to get them back the other direction is what I'm trying to say. Because they really need food and water at this point if they've crossed this far.
Here is the best way, in my opinion, to prevent people from illegally crossing any border on planet Earth.
Get rid of the border.
Don't have them.
I agree.
I don't really.
I'm trying to find a peaceful solution to what the tyranny is, but
I don't know. I don't want to give them any ideas. Like,
don't have borders.
Why? I want them to come here. I want immigrants to come here because I like the economy doing better and people suffering less.
I understand.
No, I like hard workers, people who are motivated. Like people from poverty, people who have like no other recourse in life. They're like, well, I'm all out of options. Guess I'll try and cross the border, as dangerous as it is, right? Like these are motivated people, highly motivated people.
They know that they can make like at least this much money.
People seem to think that like people from South America and Mexico are coming here to sit on their couch and watch TV and eat Cheetos and be on welfare, like Sarah.
It's Schrodinger's immigrant,
but not a lot.
Simultaneously too lazy to work, but also stealing your job.
Yeah. Well, this has been Free Talk Live. Thanks for listening to us. It was kind of a silly but fun show tonight. We'll be back every day of the week, so see us here 7 to 10 Eastern. Peace.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's